Hello, my dear friends. Welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep. Very good evening, all of you. I welcome you all to this very interesting and very important session for your ESE Prelims 2023, that is Design, Drawing and Safety. So, before starting the session, please do let me know whether my audio and video is all good, all perfect, are you able to see and hear the voice clearly. Yes. Let me check from my end also. Very good evening. Good evening. Okay. I think that is being live. Yes. Okay, perfect. Hello guys. Hello, good evening. Good evening, Arun. Good evening. Hello, Hardik. Very good evening. All clear. All set. Fine. So, how's your preparation for ESE prelims going on? Because for the last few days, you all guys are giving your full effort, full dedication to all these marathon sessions, right? So, in the morning, you have covered material science taken by Ashutosh sir and Dheeraj sir. So, I hope you all enjoyed. Okay. So we'll be continuing with that discussion only. We'll be going for design, drawing and safety. I'll be having a very quick revision of this subject because practically it's not possible to cover the entire topic. But yes, I'll be covering maximum possible topic in the next 2.5 hours or even 3 hours, right? So in less than 3 hours, we'll be trying to cover this segment of design, drawing and safety. And let's quickly start off the session. बहुत बढ़िया. Very good evening, Arun. Good evening. Fine. Virender Kumar Vidyarthi. Okay, very good evening, Virender. Chaliyo. So let's start the session because I want you guys to be actively participating. And sir, as from ESE point of view, I don't have much idea about this. Now, one thing is, many students, what happens, they are not having or feel very comfortable with the drawing subject. What happens is, drawing is a subject with many engineers try to visualize, अरे वही drawing करना पड़ेगा, drafter लेके जाते थे, है ना? That's not like that. They won't be asking you a question from there. They won't be asking you to draw the diagram, right? They will be simply asking you basic, simple understanding and purely conceptual. Okay, fine. Namaskar, good evening. Hello, TPM, good evening. Right, so they won't be asking you to draw any front view, top view. No, they won't be asking you like this. But yes, they could ask you from basic questions, from projections, from Conics. You can get some questions from safety. Okay, so let us quickly see what is the weightage of this subject, right? And before telling you this, Abhinav sir will be coming live today at 7:30. So I think everyone's सबका Valentine's Day is going all perfect. So me, Dheeraj sir, Ashutosh sir, हम लोग के साथ you are making your Valentine. It's very good. I can see the dedication for engineering service because that kind of dedication should be there if you're having an examination after 3 or 4 days. Okay, chaliye. Fine. So if I talk about this subject of design, drawing and safety, as you know that it was started in 2017, the syllabus was changed and that year 15 question was asked from this subject. 15, right? One of the, we can say, third or fourth highest important subject. But the next consecutive year it was only one question, right? And after that, because initially we don't know what kind of pattern they could be asking, but after 5 years we can simply say they have asked almost 7 to 8, like 2022 they have asked like 6 questions from this. So I would rather say 6 to 7 number of questions will be the average number of questions they could be, you can expect from this design, drawing and safety, right? Okay, और इसके अलावा if I want to tell you a very brief thing, design, drawing and safety में से drawing में they will be asking you majority questions from the projection topic जो will be covering today. Might be 1 or 2 questions from the conics that also will be covering, right? Introductory part we'll be having a quick brief of that. Safety say you can get 1 or 2 questions. Fire safety say they have asked. From your construction safety say they have asked, right? From drawing perspective 1 question at max or 2, इससे ज़्यादा नहीं. तो basically equal weightage है design में, drawing में, safety में. Only we can say overview knowledge will be self-sufficient to complete this topics. Okay, चलिए start करें. Good evening Farhan. Oh, Farhina, Dinesh, Diksha, very good evening, very good evening. Chaliye, so let's start with this subject of drawing. Now, what is engineering drawing? What is the first thing which is coming to the mind? The engineering drawing hota kya? It is nothing but it is basically used to convey message from one person to another, right? अगर मैं इंजीनियरिंग ड्राइंग की बात करूं, इट विल सिंपली हेल्प अस टू कन्वे द मैसेज फ्रॉम वन पर्सन टू अनदर पर्सन. ठीक है, फाइन. बट अब मैसेज, व्हाट काइंड ऑफ मैसेज? बेसिकली द मैसेज कुड बी सेंड इन फॉर्म ऑफ वी कैन से voice, in form of video. But if you are conveying our message from one person to another person in form of some pictorial diagram, then that is basically the engineering drawing. Right? So if I show you one image on the screen, ये image आपको देख के क्या लगता है? Please tell me in the comment section, everyone. इस image को देख के what is the first thing that is coming to their mind? Please tell me in the comment section, because I want you guys to understand what is engineering drawing. Okay, दिनेश, दीक्षात, अरुण, हार्दिक, वीरेंद्र, देख के क्या लगता है सर? इट्स अ बेसिक साइन ऑफ यू टर्न, है ना? यू टर्न का साइन लगता है, जैसे हमने रोड्स में देखा होगा. वी हैव सीन इन द रोड्स आल्सो देयर इज नथिंग बट अ साइन ऑफ अ यू टर्न. बट है ना, बट लेट अस सपोज इन वन ऑफ द कंट्री, है ना, लेट अस सपोज इन एक्स कंट्री, दे आर एज्यूमिंग दिस इज बेसिकली यूज्ड टू टेक द राइट टर्न. यू कैन नॉट डिनाई दैट, है ना? किसी कंट्री में if they are using this sign to make a right turn, so definitely you have to obey that. Okay, fine. So that there a problem exists, because if a person, let's say a person from India is going to that X country and he has seen this signboard and he is taking a U-turn, but actually that was meant to be taking a right turn. तो इसी confusion को दूं, क्योंकि every country is having their own we can say standard bodies or standard regulatory bodies to have that drawing standards. तो उन सब के ऊपर there is a very important we can say ISO. तो ISO is basically a body which is telling us about, which is controlling worldwide. There are some standard signs which we need to, if having a sign like this, it will always resemble us about the U-turn. ठीक है, तो कोई भी कंट्री में if you are going to any of the country, if you are seeing this sign, they will be simply, by meaning of this is you have to take a U-turn. And what is ISO? Tell me what is the full form of ISO? This is your international yes international organization for standardization, है ना? International organization for standardization, very simple. And this is basically a worldwide body which is controlling every country design perspective. जैसे इंडिया में we are having BIS, है ना? Bureau of Indian Standards. In United Kingdom we are having British standards. ठीक है, तो हर एक कंट्री का अपना अपना एक रेगुलेटरी बॉडी होता है, बट उसके ऊपर there is a body which has to be a regulatory, which has to be controlling all the signs, that is your ISO. Okay, fine. Is this clear? So from this we are getting a very brief understanding. What is a drawing? Drawing is basically a pictorial representation to convey the message from one person to another person. ठीक है, fine. चलो, अब इसके अंदर we are having different instruments and won't be going into the base different kind of instruments like we are having pencils, drafter, compass. No, we won't going over this, क्योंकि आपको पता है कुछ आपको basics instruments I'll be discussing, because which is important from your examination perspective. So first one is pencils. Can you tell me how many classification of pencils are there? There are how many pencils which we are studying? Good evening, Maniket. Good evening, Arun, Diksha, Dinesh. Good evening. Can you tell me how many classification of pencils are there? Anyone who can tell me in the comment section? क्योंकि देखो ऐसी easy questions you can expect. I'll be asking you 2-3 questions. अभी frame कर लेंगे. The live session will be having some questions will be framed and you have to answer it. Exactly. Farina is absolutely correct. Madurai is saying 4. No, it's not the correct answer. We are having 20 classification. 20 classification of pencils. Okay, we are having 20 classification of pencil, because in our engineering we are only studying 3 or 4 H, HB, 2H, है ना? We are in engineering in colleges we were only used to have only 3 types of pencil. No, it's not like this. We are having 20 classification of pencils. And can you tell me who gave this particular classification? It was Brookman pencil makers. Brookman pencil makers, right, which have given this 20 classification of pencils. So what are the 20 classification? Let us see this. We'll be having B, we are having 2B, we are having 3B, till we are having 9B. Over here we'll be having F, then we'll be having HB pencil. We'll be having HB pencil. HB pencil, then we'll be having F, then 2F, then 3F till your 9F. Okay, so these are the 20 classification of pencil, right? But what's the major difference between this? So if I show you one image, आपको यहाँ पे clearly पता चल जाएगा. If I say this is B, this is HB, this is F, as you are moving towards the increasing B, if you are increasing the B portion, we are increasing what? We are increasing the boldness, है ना? यहाँ पे आपका boldness is being increased, right? But if I try to go towards the H portion, your hardness is being increased. Hardness is being increased, right? है ना? Fine. In we can say in colleges we are only concerned about HB, H and 2H. That's it. We are going for HB pencil, your H pencil and 2H pencil. Okay, fine. But normally if I say there are 20 major classification of the pencil that you are seeing, and if you are moving towards F, your sharpness is gonna increase. Sharpness is gonna increase, and if you are moving towards B, your boldness will be increased. Okay. My next question is, so what is a composition for any pencil? What could be the composition of any pencil? So it is being seen that the lead pencil is basically being classified under two, we can say it is basically made up of two materials. If I say composition of lead pencils, can you tell me what are the two materials that we are using in order to make a lead pencil? Anyone? Graphite. Very good, Hardik, absolutely correct. There are two major two major composition, right? One is no, it won't be wood, right? Wood to obviously hoga. We are talking about the lead. Okay, we are having graphite, and second one we are having over here silica or clay. Okay, silica or clay. So what is being seen that when you are increasing the carbon content, when you are increasing the carbon content, right? When you are increasing the carbon content, then what will happen? You are moving towards the B side. That means you are increasing the boldness. Okay, fine. And when you are increasing the silica content, then what happens? You are increasing the sharpness. So you can get a question like this: which of the following you will be having, or we can say you have to arrange in the increasing or the decreasing order of the silica composition of lead pencil. So now you can easily tell, you can easily answer to this. We can have silica or clay, both are correct. Okay, fine. So if I say if you are having some increasing or decreasing arrangement, now you can easily tell the answer, right? So if you are increasing the silica content, you are increasing the sharpness of the pencil, and if you are increasing the graphite or the carbon content, then you are increasing the boldness of the pencil. Okay, fine. Now my next question is, ठीक है सर, यहाँ पर जा रहे हैं on the left hand side, if you are moving, your sharpness is increasing, and when you are moving towards the right hand side, your boldness, or we can say carbon content, is increasing. But what about your F and HB pencil? ठीक है, क्योंकि ये सेंटर में है ना. Fine, it is basically at the center. तो इन दोनों के बीच में what is the major difference? If I talk about an F pencil or an HB pencil, what is the major difference? It is being seen that in F and HB there is equal purpose, or we can say 50% silica and 50% graphite. Okay, if I talk about F pencil and if I talk about HB pencil, in both cases what we are having 50% silica, right, and 50% graphite. So next question is, sir, अगर ये दोनों same है, if they are having the same composition, then why we are defining F pencil and HB pencil? Are able to understand this? Why we are getting the different pencil? क्योंकि it is being seen that in F pencil, we call it as fine pencil, the grain size are different. The grain size of silica and graphite are different. But if I talk about HB में क्या होता है? We are having same equal grain size. ठीक है? These are very small points which only you have to just be attentive in the session. I think you will be able to cover at least 80% of the syllabus, minimum 80%. Okay, fine. Is this clear? So F or HP में major differences, we are having 50% silica, 50% graphite, but in HP what happens? The size, the grain size of silica and the grain size of your graphite will be different. Okay, in case of this, we'll be having the same grain size, your silica and your graphite will be having the same grain size in case of HB pencil. Is this clear? Okay, understood. That's the major difference that you can expect. And in engineering, we are only studying H pencil. We are only using HB, H and 2H. Okay, HB we are using to draw the outline. Okay, fine. Where we are using H type of pencil? H type of pencil is basically used to draw the reference line or imaginary line. Okay, and 2H pencil is basically used to draw the construction lines. Construction lines. Okay, key point याद रखेंगे. We will only trying to define the key point, or we can say will be used to draw the projectors. Okay, equal मतलब जो important points will be trying to recall that only. ठीक है, fine. तो one of the very important instrument that we are using in drawing is pencil. इसके अलावा drafter है, we are having set square, protractor, उस पर हम discussion नहीं करेंगे because you know the concept. ठीक है, क्योंकि जो इंपॉर्टेंट है which you might not be knowing that we need to have a clarity. Now the next question is you might be heard about the sheets, drawing sheets. ठीक है, if I talk about drawing sheets, if I talk about the second very important segment, that is drawing sheets. Now in drawing sheets we are having three different types of drawing sheets. Can you tell me in the comment section कितने टाइप के drawing sheets होते हैं? We are having A type, we are having B type or B series, A series and C series. Okay, we are having three different types of series or three different types of sheets. Please tell me in the comment section. Very good, Maniket. We are having four also, but normally हम लोग engineering perspective से if I say we are having three types A, B and C. Where we are using A type you might have seen A4 sheets, A3 sheets जो हम लोग use करते हैं in offices, in making the project files, right? We are using the A type of documentation. We are using this A type, and you might have used in your college days also, right? Where we are using this B type sheets, anyone? B type sheets we are using where? Anyone who can tell me in the comment section? Hardik, Anirban, Maniket, because we are having two channels में live चल रहा है, so I have to see. Very good, Nihita. We are using this in मतलब India में बात करो, we are using this in judiciary system. Judiciary system. ठीक है, फाइन. अच्छा, you might have seen in जब when you are taking a document, print out of that, ठीक है, stamp paper में. Very good. जब हम लोग print out लेते हैं, whenever we are taking the print out from the let's say from Word file, there is one shape we call it as letter, है ना? We try to convert that to A4, then we try to take the print out. तो जो letter है ना, that we are seeing, that is basically your B type sheet. Windows में है ना, or we can say Microsoft में we are having one format, one page size which we call it as letter, and that is nothing but the B type sheet, because in United Kingdom, ठीक है, US में, UK में, British में, we are using the letter. ठीक है, letter वाला they are using as an official documentation. जैसे India में we are using A type series, in United Kingdom they are using letter type, and that is the reason Microsoft में by default the print size shape is in form of letters. ठीक है, is this clear? ठीक है, and what is C type sheet? Where we are using the C type sheet? C type sheets are basically used to make the envelope. Envelope के लिए we are using the C type sheet. Like you might have seen, if you want to have A4 sheet का envelope, there is a specific shape, specific size for that, है ना? अगर मान लीजिए मेरे पास A3 sheet है, तो A3 sheet का भी will be having a specific envelope from that. So C type series or C series sheets are basically used to have the envelope. Okay, fine. एक brief introduction हो गया. Now let us talk about A type sheets. A type sheets. Now it is being seen that if I talk about A type sheet, we are having A0, we are having A1, we are having A2, like this. If I talk about the area of A0 sheets, it's approximately equal to 1 meter square. It is approximately equal to, मतलब the area of the A0 sheet, अगर if I say this is a A0 sheet, if I say this is complete and A0 sheet, this one, this red color which I'm drawing, this complete is a A0 sheet, okay, whose dimension is 1189 and 841. If you try to multiply A0 sheet का जो area आएगा, it will be coming out to be 1 meter square. And if you want to have that A1 sheet, A1 में क्या होगा? Just you try to have to fold from the center. जब आप center से fold कर देंगे, we'll be having this sheet, which we call it as A1. ठीक है? It will be the dimension of will be 841 into half of this 594. जब A1 को आधा कर देंगे, we'll be having A2 sheets. So it will be having a dimension of 594 into 420. So as we are moving along this series, we are having half of the areas. मतलब A0 का अगर 1 meter square है, A1 will be having 1 by 2, A2 will be having 1 by 4. So similarly, we will be having A4 as 1 upon 2 to the power 4. Okay. So how we can directly identify the area of A series sheet? The area of A series sheets is nothing but 2 to the power minus n. 2 to the power minus n. Okay. If I want to calculate for A0 sheet, put n equal to 0. You'll be having 2 to the power 0 is 1, so 1 meter square. If you want to calculate the area for A5 sheet, that will be 1 upon 2 to the power 5. ठीक है? अब इसमें क्वेश्चन क्या बनता है? Questions you can expect from this is how many sheets you can obtain, how many sheets can be obtained from how many, let's say A4 sheets can be obtained from A1 sheet. Can you tell me in the comment section how many A4 sheets we can obtain from one A1 sheet? एक A1 sheet से कितने A4 sheets we can obtain? Please tell me in the comment section. कैसे करेंगे? How many A4 sheets can be obtained from one A1 sheet? देखो A1 का, एक A1 का कितना होता है? We are having 1 meter square. एक A4 sheet का एरिया कितना होगा? That is 1 upon 2 to the power 4. A1 sheet का होगा 1 upon 2, right? So just we have to take the ratio of this. So number of A4 sheets will be simply equal to 2 to the power 4 minus 1, that is 2 cube, that is equal to, yes, it will be 8. 16 कहां से भाई? 16 कहां से? 16 कहां से? Yes. क्योंकि देखो A1 sheet का एरिया कितना है? 1 upon 2. Just you have to take the division of this ना. देखो अगर आपको ये से नहीं आ रहा, this आप area of A1 sheet divided by the area of A4 sheet है ना. ये A1 sheet है, A0 की बात ही नहीं कर रहे हम लोग, A0 की बात ही नहीं कर रहे, we are talking about A1 sheet. तो यहां पर देखो ऐसे मिस्टेक हो सकता है. A1 sheet का एरिया कितना? 1 upon 2. This is 1 upon 2 to the power 4. So this is 2 to the power 3. That is 8 sheets. So you can obtain 8 A4 sheets from one A1 sheet. If this would have been an A0 sheet, अगर ये होता number of A4 sheets from A0 sheet, that will be equal to 2 to the power 4 minus 0, that is 16. The answer 16 will be coming only for if you are extracting this. If there is an A0 sheet, वहां से आपको 16 आएगा. हाँ ठीक है, तो ये प्लीज ये ध्यान रखिएगा. So how we can obtain? अब इसका सिंपल तरीका क्या है? To remember the number of sheets will be equal to the area of the larger sheet divided by the area of the smaller sheet. That's it. ठीक है, नंबर ऑफ शीट्स निकालने का सिंपल तरीका है, नंबर ऑफ शीट्स टू कैलकुलेट दिस, you can simply say the area of the larger sheet divided by the area of the smaller sheet. Okay, fine. तो यहां से आप easily you can calculate the number of sheets. Larger sheet का area divided by the smaller sheet का area. Very good, Arun, Dinesh, very good. Okay, so you can see from the screen also this is complete A0. इसको fold किया we are getting A1, A1 को fold किया we are getting A2, A2 को half किया we are getting A3, A3 को half किया we are getting A4. Very important one point. Second important point is it is being always seen that the ratio of length is to breadth, the ratio of length is to breadth is always following a ratio of 1 is to root 2 or root 2 is to 1. ठीक है, fine. It is being seen that the length is to breadth for an A series, even in B series or C series, it will always have the ratio of either root 2 is to 1 or 1 is to root 2. It depends upon कि आप length किसको ले रहे हैं. ठीक है, तो आप इसको root 2 is to 1 भी ले सकते हैं, or you can take it as 1 is to root 2. Right? Small key points. Now, next probable question which you can expect is from this. अच्छा, सभी लोगों ने, you might have seen across whenever you are printing the project, you are seeing this kind of image, right? So there is one interesting image you can see over here, that is 75 GSM. 75 GSM. What is this GSM? कोई बता सकता है? Those who have studied drawing, you might be knowing about this. ये GSM का क्या मतलब है? What's the meaning of this word GSM? It is basically equal to gram per meter square. That means 1 meter square will be having 75 gram. Okay, 1 meter square will be having 75 gram. Now let us suppose it shows thickness. Perfect. देखो, let us suppose if I'm having 100, if you're having, or let's say 100 A4 sheets having 75 GSM. Can you tell me what will be the weight of this particular 100 sheet? अगर मेरे पास 100 A4 sheets हैं और उसका sheet का GSM है 75, then what will be the weight of this 100 A4 sheet? Can you tell me? देखो, if I say 75 gram is for 1 meter square, and can you tell me 1 meter square is basically 1 A0 sheet, है ना? 1 meter square is basically 1, मतलब एक A0 sheet का weight होगा 75 gram. Okay, so if you're having 1 A0 sheet that is having 75 gram weight, so 1 A0 sheet is equivalent to how many A4 sheet? 1 A0 sheet is equivalent to how many A4 sheets? Please tell me. मैंने आपको बताया था अभी, एक A0 sheet कितने A4 sheets के बराबर होगा? Yes, from 1 A0 sheet how many A4 sheet will be obtained? We can say it will be 16, है ना? Yes, 16 A4 sheets. Yes or no? 16? Yes. Perfect. Answer यहाँ पर इकबाल का आंसर आ चुका है 600 ग्राम. Okay, perfect. So I can say 16 A4 sheets will be having a weight of 75 gram. So 1 A4 sheet will be having a weight of 75 by 16 gram. So I need to calculate the weight for 100. So I can say 100 A4 sheet will be having a net weight of 75 into 100 by 16. Solve करेंगे. Can you tell me the nearest value? Can you tell me the nearest value that you can obtain? Yes. चलो देखते हैं. 25 4. Somewhere around you will be getting 1 3 8 18 point something. तो 25 कितना आ रहा है? Approximately 1200. इतना आ रहा है? Please check. Let me check from my end also. 75 into 100 divided by 16. 468. 468.75 gram, or we can say approximately 469 grams. तो इसका मतलब, what is the meaning of this? 100 A4 sheet will be having a weight of 469 gram. ठीक है, अगर आप 100 A4 sheet लेते हैं उस particular 75 GSM का, then it will be having the weight of 469 gram. Is this clear? ये आपको पता रहना चाहिए how we are calculating. ठीक है, fine. So if I'm asking you next question, what will be the weight of 100 A5 sheets having 80 GSM. Quickly tell me in the comment section. Comment section में जल्दी से बताइए. If you're having 100 A5 sheets, or let's say A3 कर लेते हैं, calculation easy हो जाएगा. If you're having 100 A3 sheets, having 80 GSM, what will be its weight? What will be the weight of 100 A3 sheets having 80 GSM? बहुत easy question है. फरीना, दिनेश, इकबाल, मनिकेत, हार्दिक, कुशाग्रा, निहिता, क्विकली. 100 A3 शीट्स का अगर उसका 80 GSM है, तो वो GSM का मतलब कहीं ना कहीं वी कैन से व्हाट इज मास. मास इज नथिंग बट रो इनटू ए इनटू थिकनेस. अब देखो, एरिया तो हमेशा कोई भी शीट का कांस्टेंट होगा, डेंसिटी तो उसका प्रॉपर्टी पे डिपेंड कर रहा है. सो वी कैन से ओनली इफ यू आर इंक्रीजिंग GSM, बेसिकली वी आर इंक्रीजिंग द थिकनेस, है ना. फाइन, वेरी गुड. आई एम गेटिंग सम रिस्पॉन्सेस. कुशाग्रे सेइंग 1000. ओके, इकबाल 254 A5. ओके, चलिए, बहुत आंसर्स मेरे पास आ रहे हैं. देखो, सिंपल है. 80 GSM का मतलब 80 GSM means 80 grams for 1 meter square. 1 meter square मतलब we are talking about 1 A0 sheet. देखो, सिंपल है. 80 GSM मतलब 80 grams per meter square, and we know that 1 meter square is the area for 1 A0 sheet, right? Okay, now I have to obtain 1 A0 sheet is having 80 gram. So 1 A0 sheet is equivalent to how many A3 sheet? 1 A0 sheet is equivalent to how many A3 sheet? We are having 8 A3 sheet is equivalent to 80 gram, right? So 1 A3 sheet will be having 10 gram, राइट. तो एक A3 शीट का वेट है 10 ग्राम. 100 A3 शीट्स का कितना होगा? 100 A3 शीट्स विल बी हैविंग अ वेट ऑफ 10 into the 100, that is 1000 gram. That is simply we can say 1 kg. ठीक है? Is this clear? That will be equal to 1 kg. Understood? Hardik, is this clear now? सिंपल सा देखो, यूनिटरी मेथड है. कंसेप्ट को याद रखिएगा. अब देखो, हर एक शीट का, एवरी शीट इज हैविंग अ same area. If you're using this much thick or small thickness, area will be always be same, because that is a standard thing, that the standard we can say size we have to follow. So only distinguish factor is the thickness. मतलब if you are increasing the GSM, basically you are increasing the thickness. And आपने सुना होगा when you are printing the project जब आप print लेते हैं, this one paper we call it as bond paper. सुना है? Has everyone heard about that bond paper? Yes. अब बॉन्ड पेपर का थिकनेस देखा होगा, थोड़ा सा ज्यादा होता है from the normal A4 sheet paper. The bond paper is having a more thickness. And if you see, अगर कभी भी टाइम मिले after this ESE paper, कभी भी दुकान में जाइए, go to the Xerox shop and you ask that person, can you show me what is the GSM of that bond paper? You can easily able to understand now. You can easily able to understand. और उससे आपको पता चल जाएगा उसका जो GSM होगा ना, वो ज्यादा वैल्यू होगा. It will be having a larger value. ठीक है? अभी नहीं करना. After ESE, not now. You're not having that much of time to search for that. ठीक है? Clear है? Fine. चलिए. So now this is your drawing instruments. Now let's quickly talk about B series sheets which we are using in your judiciary system. Right? अब B series को simple निकालने का तरीका क्या है? The area of B type sheet is basically equal to geometric mean of an minus 1 and an sheet. Okay, it is equal to an minus 1 and an. So if I want to calculate the size for B1, so B1 it will be equal to the geometric mean of A0 and A1. It will be equal to the geometric mean of A0 and A1. Is this clear? Okay, simple technique. And if I talk about C-type sheets, it is nothing but the geometric mean of AN and BN. Okay, fine. The CN, that we can say the area of C-type sheet is nothing but the geometric mean of A-type and B-type sheet. Question they won't be asking you. What will the duration of time? I'm expecting that 2.5 hours till 8:30. I'm expecting. It depends upon you guys. जितना आप जल्दी समझेंगे, will be able to wind up the session as early as possible. Okay, fine. So sheet पे से you can expect a question. राइट. सो नाउ लेट अस टॉक अबाउट द वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक जहां से क्वेश्चन आता ही आता है, दैट इज प्रोजेक्शन. दैट इज नथिंग बट योर projection, right? Fine. Now, why we are studying this projection? If I say projection is mainly being classified under 4 categories: multi-view projection, oblique projection, isometric, and perspective projection, right? But if I say in a layman terms, देखो, multi-view projection is basically used by engineers to convey message between engineers. We are using this multi-view projection. ठीक है. अगर मुझे एक इंजीनियर, मतलब एक सिविल इंजीनियर से, इफ आई वांट टू कन्वे टू अ मैकेनिकल इंजीनियर, राइट, और अब सिविल टू एनी इलेक्ट्रिकल और ईसी, और मैकेनिकल टू ईसी, इलेक्ट्रिकल, सिविल, definitely we will be using multi view, जिसमें हम लोग टॉप व्यू, फ्रंट व्यू, we are studying that. But if I talk about oblique projection and isometric projection, these type of projection is basically being used बी एंड सी शीट क्वेश्चंस. मुश्किल होगा क्योंकि ए टाइप में से ही एक दो बार ही पूछा है. बी और सी जस्ट ओनली शुड बी हैविंग द बेसिक अंडरस्टैंडिंग. क्लियर दीक्षा सॉरी, हाँ, है ना. तो वहां से आपको क्वेश्चंस मिल सकते हैं. ए सी से ज्यादा बी और सी, बस आपको ब्रीफ आइडिया पता रहना चाहिए, right? And oblique and isometric projection is basically used where we have to convey message to the non-technical person. non-technical persons, right? अगर कोई non-technical person, कोई इंजीनियर नहीं है, कोई एक पर्सन है which is having non-engineering background but his is a we can say educated person, तो उसको हम लोग oblique projection या isometric projection से we can pass on the information. Perspective projection हम लोग यूज करते हैं where we want to convey the message to an illiterate person. अगर कोई पर्सन है, he has not studied anything, तो उस केस उनको कभी भी ऑब्लिक आइसोमेट्रिक का मतलब नहीं पता चलेगा. दे हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड बाय टेकिंग द फोटो. जैसे हम पिक्चर लेते हैं, लेट अस सपोज यू आर क्लिकिंग ऑन पिक्चर, ठीक है, आपके पास एक कैमरा है, मोबाइल फोन, आप कैमरा ऑन करेंगे, आप एक पिक्चर लेंगे, एंड इफ यू शो दैट पिक्चर टू अ पर्सन, माइट बी एन इलिटरेट पर्सन, ही विल बी एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड, राइट? तो उस टाइप के प्रोजेक्शन को हम लोग बोलते हैं पर्सपेक्टिव प्रोजेक्शन, इफ ऐसे इन अ जनरल पर्सपेक्टिव. बट अगर मैं प्रोजेक्शंस की बात करूं, अगर मैं क्लासिफिकेशन प्रोजेक्शन की बात करूं, projection is basically classified under 2 categories. ठीक है, if I say projections, तो उसको समझने के लिए there are some terms that we need to have a clarity. One we call it as source, जिसको हम लोग एक आई की तरह ड्रॉ करते हैं. We are having object, right? We'll be having one object, we'll be having one plane, ठीक है, जिसको हम लोग ऐसे रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं, and we are having projectors, जिसको हम लोग लाइन से डिनोट करते हैं. मतलब विल बी हैविंग वन सोर्स, ठीक है, और सोर्स मान लीजिए, लेट मी शो वन डायग्राम, आई थिंक दैट इज प्रेजेंट ओवर हियर. मान लीजिए यहां पर एक सोर्स बैठा है, ठीक है, देयर इज अ सोर्स एंड देयर इज अ बॉडी, देयर इज अ बॉडी केप्ट लाइक दिस, एंड वी आर सीइंग दिस बॉडी, एंड वी आर सीइंग दिस बॉडी ऑन अ प्लेन, ठीक है. तो ये आपका है ऑब्जेक्ट, दिस इज द ऑब्जेक्ट, राइट, दिस इज द सोर्स. ये जो आपका रेस जा रहा है, विच वी कॉल इट एज रेस और प्रोजेक्टर, ये आपका ऑब्जेक्ट है, राइट? एंड दिस इज द प्लेन ओवर विच वी आर सीइंग द शैडो, जिसमें हम लोग किसी ऑब्जेक्ट का शैडो देखते हैं या इमेज देखते हैं. ओके, दिस वी कॉल इट एज द प्लेन. क्लियर? तो बेसिकली इन नोटेशंस को यूज करके वी आर नाउ क्लासिफाइंग द प्रोजेक्शन, बिकॉज यू कैन एक्सपेक्ट वन ऑफ द क्वेश्चंस फ्रॉम दिस, the classification of projection. So projections can be broadly classified under 2 categories. One is when the source is at, with respect to the source, so when the source is at infinity, and when the source is at some finite position, so tell me one thing, अगर मेरा जो सोर्स है, इफ इट इज एट इंफिनिटी, द रेस विल बी अ डाइवर्जिंग लाइन और पैरेलल लाइंस. टेल मी, अगर ये सोर्स, इफ इट इज एट इनफाइनाइट पोजीशन, ये जो सोर्स बैठा है, इफ इट इज एट इनफाइनाइट पोजीशन, सो टेल मी वन थिंग, द रेस और प्रोजेक्टर्स विल बी पैरेलल लाइंस और विल बी अ डाइवर्जिंग लाइन लाइक दिस. टेल मी, अगर ये सोर्स इन्फिनिटी में बैठा होगा ना, तो ये जो प्रोजेक्शन जो लाइन होगी विल बी सिंपली पैरेलल लाइंस. वेरी गुड टिक्षा एंड आशीष, इट विल बी पैरेलल लाइंस, राइट. अगर ये सोर्स इन्फिनिटी में बैठा होगा और अगर दिस सोर्स इज एट सम फाइनाइट डिस्टेंस, देन दिस लाइंस विल बी डाइवर्जिंग लाइंस. यस, अगर आपका सोर्स is present at infinity, then we'll be having the parallel lines. Very easy to understand. And if this source is at some finite distance, we'll be having the diverging rays or diverging projectors. Okay, so here we can classify when the source is at infinity, so we can call it this as parallel line projection. Okay, and this we call it as the diverging line projection. Okay, ये इसका बस मीनिंग है. मेन क्लासिफिकेशन पैरेलल एंड द डाइवर्जिंग line projection we can understand like this. ठीक है, पैरेलल का मतलब something like this. If I try to classify, है ना, if I try to classify diverging line को ही we call it as the perspective projection. ठीक है, जिसमें if you try to see, if let us suppose I'm having an image, right, तो आपने देखा होगा when you are seeing a road, आपने कभी एक रोड को देखा होगा, आप देखते हैं एक रोड आगे जा रही है, when you see from the naked eye, you might be seeing that road is converging to a point. Yes, have you visualized that? अगर आप एक रोड को देखते हैं, आपको कुछ ऐसा दिखता है ना. मान लीजिए स्ट्रीट लाइट है, you might be visualizing that it is being converging to a point. So this kind of projection we call it as perspective projection. So perspective projection be further classified into 3 categories. That is your single point, double point, and triple point vanishing point. Right? We have a single point, 1 point, 2 point, and 3 point. ठीक है? इसके अगर एक पॉइंट पे अगर पूरा इमेज it is being converging to a single point, we call it a single point. ऐसे डबल पॉइंट मतलब there will be an image where 2 points will be diverging. 3 point का मतलब something like this. मान लीजिए there is a body, है ना, there is a body which is kept like this, a 3D image such that there are 3 points about which this body is being. ठीक है, तो एक बॉडी है जिसका 3 पॉइंट we call it as vanishing point. ठीक है, 3 पॉइंट पे this entire diagram is being converging. ठीक है, जैसे इस डायग्राम में we are having 1 point as convergence, we call it as single point vanishing point. Okay, not that much detailing you should be doing, just only brief understanding. Now important is this parallel line projection. Parallel line projection is very important. Parallel line projection, क्योंकि पिछले साल in the previous year there was one question from this classification. That is why we are giving more emphasis on this. If I talk about parallel projection, we can have two possibilities. Now we can say, if you take sun is a source, right, and which is continuously emitting rays, and sun is at, we can assume to get infinite position. हाँ correct अरुण, जैसे sun the source is at infinity. अब वहां पर भी आपने दो पर्सपेक्टिव देखा होगा. when you are having let us suppose in afternoon, है ना, 12 बजे दोपहर को, what will be the shadow, length of the shadow? Can you tell me? If the sun is at the top, then what will be the length of the shadow? उस केस में आपको कोई प्रोजेक्शन आएगा ही नहीं, है ना. Fine. When we can say the theta is equal to 90 degree, then this kind of projection we call it as orthographic projection. Orthographic projection. Perpendicular. Exactly. इसको हम लोग बोलते हैं orthographic projection. When the sun is at the top, something like this. ठीक है? Fine. And when other than 90 degree, in that case you will be having some the shadow length will be there. ठीक है, तो इसको हम सिंपली समझ सकते हैं. इफ आई से दिस इज द प्रोजेक्टर और वी कैन से रेज, एंड इफ दिस इज द प्लेन, तो अगर इस रेज और प्लेन के बीच में वी आर हैविंग अ 90 डिग्री, वी कॉल इट एज ऑर्थोग्राफिक प्रोजेक्शन. एंड व्हेन वी आर हैविंग एन एंगल between the rays and the plane, this we call it as the we can say oblique projection. इसको हम लोग बोलते हैं oblique projection. We call it as oblique projection. Clear? अब oblique projection में से last year question पूछा था. तो question was this oblique projection is further classified under 2 categories. Let us assume you are standing over here, ठीक है, and the sun is exactly at 45 डिग्री, मान लीजिए सन 45 डिग्री पे है, then what will be the length of the shadow? Will it be equal to the your height h? Let's say this is capital D, है ना, this is capital D, and let's say I'm having this image over here that is small d. So tell me, the capital D and small d will be having equal or unequal? अगर जो सन का जो एंगल है that is making an angle of let us suppose 45 degree from the horizon, तो उस केस में the shadow image that will be getting, will it be equal or unequal? बताइए. Exactly 45 है. If you're having a 45 degree angle, तो जो shadow का जो length होगा और जो पर्सन का हाइट होगा, विल इट बी इक्वल और अनइक्वल? इट बी सर वेरी इजी. अगर ये 45 डिग्री है तो हमें पता है व्हाट इज tan 45 इक्वल टू 1. सर एट दिस मोमेंट द हाइट और ये आपका एग्जैक्टली इक्वल होगा. सो वी कैन हैव वन पर्सपेक्टिव व्हेन थीटा इज इक्वल टू 45 डिग्री. ओके फाइन. इज दिस क्लियर? यस. हाँ. There is one more perspective because we can have infinite possibility. I'm only taking one possibility where we are having equal. Let us suppose we are having an angle such that this is D, and this is half of this. If I say small d is equal to capital D by 2. So can you tell me what will be this angle? अगर आपका height है D और आपका जो shadow और projection बन रहा है that is half of the length. If you try to calculate, you will be getting somewhere around 63.5. Okay, you'll be getting somewhere around 63.5, right? So we call this kind of projection under oblique projection 63.5 or 63.4, exactly 1.999 होगा. ठीक है. So when we are having equal height, we call this as cavalier projection. Cavalier projection. Last year इसमें से क्वेश्चन पूछा था. Exactly same. And whenever you are having half of the length, let's say this is d by d is equal to capital D by 2, है ना, then we call it as cabinet projection. Cabinet projection. Okay, here we are having d is equal to capital D. That means if you are having an object, right, this is your length, this is breadth, and this is your d, which will be equal to capital D. If you're having an object, right, in this case this d will be equal to actual object का half होगा. Actual object का half होगा, and that will be called as cabinet projection. So this is very important. So from here can we say your capital D by small d is equal to capital D by small d is equal to tan theta. ठीक है, ये important है, right? Is this clear? So we are having cavalier projection, we are having cabinet projection. Cavalier is basically when we are having equal, जितना आपका actual dimension है, we are taking the same dimension. If you are taking half of the dimension, we call it as cabinet projection. Okay, fine. Is this clear? Now let us proceed with the orthographic, because orthographic is basically you can have some projection के questions from orthographic. So if I talk about orthographic projection, ठीक है. अब ऑर्थोग्राफिक वी कैन हैव टू पॉसिबिलिटीज. मेजरली ऑर्थोग्राफिक में वी कैन हैव टू पॉसिबिलिटीज. वन इज मल्टी व्यू प्रोजेक्शन. ओके, मल्टी व्यू प्रोजेक्शन, एंड सेकेंड वी कॉल इट एज एक्सोनोमेट्रिक प्रोजेक्शन. एक्सोनोमेट्रिक प्रोजेक्शन, राइट. क्लासिफिकेशन बस आपको ओवरव्यू पता रहना चाहिए. ठीक है. मल्टीव्यू प्रोजेक्शन में व्हाट इज हैपनिंग, द ऑब्जर्वर इज चेंजिंग पोजीशन. ऑब्जर्वर चेंजिंग पोजीशन मतलब लेट अस सपोज दिस इज द बॉडी. समटाइम्स आई एम सीइंग फ्रॉम द अप, आई एम सीइंग फ्रॉम द फ्रंट, समटाइम्स आई एम सीइंग फ्रॉम द साइड. दैट वी कॉल इट एज मल्टीव्यू प्रोजेक्शन. ठीक है. एक्सोनोमेट्रिक में क्या होता है, जस्ट ऑपोजिट. Object is changing the position, observer is fixed. मैं यहीं खड़ा हूं, I'm placing the object over here, I'm changing the object like this, I'm changing the object like this. ठीक है. Observer is fixed. In multi-view projection, what is happening? Observer is changing the position and the object is fixed. ठीक है. Fine. Is this clear? तो एक्सोनोमेट्रिक की बात करेंगे. एक्सोनोमेट्रिक प्रोजेक्शन is further classified under three categories. 3, क्योंकि classification we should be knowing कि भाई जो projection that we are studying, it is coming under which categories. So it is being classified under 3 categories. Let us suppose if we're having an object, ठीक है, एक object हमारे पास, we're having an object, okay, let's say this is alpha, this is beta, and this is gamma, ठीक है. If all the angles are not equal, alpha is not equal to beta is not equal to gamma, then we call it as trimetric projection. Trimetric projection. This year you can expect a question from this. ठीक है, ऐसे इस वाले में. If any one of the set of the angle is equal, that means alpha equal to beta not equal to gamma, or alpha not equal to beta but equal to gamma, or we can say alpha equal to gamma but not equal to beta. So this kind of projection, when we are having any one of the angle is equal, we call it as a diametric projection. ठीक है. And when alpha equal to beta equal to gamma, can you tell me what kind of this projection we call? अगर सारे के सारे angles, if they are equal, then we call this kind of projection to be, tell me. We call this as isometric. That is all will be equal to 120 degree, है ना? So this is, we call it as isometric projection. Very good. दीक्षा, ऑर्थो तो ये सबके सब ऑर्थो है, ये भी ऑर्थो है, ये भी ऑर्थो है ना. ऑर्थो तो मैं ओवरऑल बात कर रहा हूँ. दिस इज मल्टी इज आल्सो एन ऑर्थो, ऑर्थोग्राफिक प्रोजेक्शन. एक्सोनोमेट्रिक इज आल्सो ऑर्थोग्राफिक, राइट? इट विल बी कॉल्ड एज आइसोमेट्रिक. ठीक है. सो आइसोमेट्रिक इज आल्सो एन एग्जांपल और अ क्लासिफिकेशन ऑफ ऑर्थोग्राफिक प्रोजेक्शन. दिस इज एन इंपॉर्टेंट इंफॉर्मेशन दैट यू शुड बी नोइंग. ठीक है. इज दिस क्लियर? फाइन, अंडरस्टूड. चलिए, so this is all about the classification of the projection. So let's talk about the projection of the different points. So I have shown everything. If I try to hide myself, अगर मैं आपको अपने आप को अगर मैं hide करूंगा, I have showcased everything with the diagram so that you are able to have that detailed discussion, complete projection of the points. क्योंकि when you will be downloading this PDF, right, you should be having entire information. ठीक है. Fine. चलिए. So now let's talk about projection of points. projection of point देखेंगे, फिर projection of line देखेंगे, then we'll be going for conics. Conics के बाद if the time allows we'll be going for the safety also. ठीक है. चलो. So projection को समझने के लिए we should be knowing a very interesting term, right? So let us suppose I'm having one more thing, like in multi-view projection. Now multi-view में basically we can have further. If I say multi-view projection, यहाँ पर मैं लिख देता हूं, मल्टीव्यू प्रोजेक्शन, राइट? Multi-view projection is basically further classified into 2 categories. One we call it as your principal views, and second we call it as your auxiliary views. Auxiliary views में we can have infinite type of projections. Principal views में we can have only 6 views. 6 views होते हैं इसमें. We are only 6 views possible. In auxiliary we can have infinite views. That means I can see a body in any direction. कोई problem नहीं है. पर principal view का मतलब we are seeing in some particular direction and we are only able to obtain 6 views. Right? अब क्या होता है principal views? If I talk about principal, we are having the front view. We are having the front view. We are having the rear view. We are having the top view. We are having the bottom view. ठीक है. We are having the left side view and we are having the right side. Left side view. And we are having the right side view. So these are the 6 possible views which we call as a principal views. अब क्वेश्चन ये है, where we can see the front and rear view. Front and rear view we call it as principal planes. तो principal planes, अगर मैं front और rear view की बात करूं, we can see the front and rear view in a vertical plane. We can see the top and bottom view in a horizontal plane. We can see the left side and the right side view from in a प्रोफाइल प्लेन, प्रोफाइल प्लेन, ठीक है। इसमें से वर्टिकल और हॉरिजॉन्टल इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। एंड व्हाट डू वी कॉल दिस टॉप व्यू? टॉप व्यू को व्हाट वी कॉल इन सिविल इंजीनियर्स माइट बी टेलिंग दिस वेरी इजीली। टॉप व्यू को हम लोग कुछ और नाम भी बोलते हैं, कैन यू टेल मी? Top view ko we are seeing, we are giving one more name for this. Can you tell me in the comment section? Civil engineers actively participate. Top view को हम लोग एक और नाम बोलते हैं. What do we call this top view? Top view को हम लोग एक और नाम बोलते हैं. जैसे बिल्डिंग का अगर टॉप व्यू है, we're having a floor plan, है ना? We call it as भाई यहाँ पे होना चाहिए बेडरूम, यहाँ पे किचन, यहाँ पे ड्राइंग रूम, है ना? We call it as plan. We call it as plan. तो अगर आपको टॉप व्यू की जगह they are saying you plan, that means they are basically talking about top view. And where we can see the top view, we can see in the horizontal plane. And if I talk about the front view, if I talk about the front view, a front view say what you are able to see, we are able to see the elevation. तो अगर आपको front view की जगह if they are seeing this word elevation, then by default you have to calculate the front view. ठीक है? Is this clear? Fine. So now let us talk about how we can calculate this. So let us know this is the vertical plane. This we call it as vertical plane, and this one we call it as the horizontal plane. This one we call it as the horizontal plane. ठीक है? Is this clear? Fine. अब let us suppose I am saying this is the first quadrant, this is second quadrant, this is third quadrant, this is fourth quadrant. Projection point से क्वेश्चन पूछे जाते हैं. Let's take one example. There is a point A which is 20 centimeter, we can say 20 centimeter in front of vertical plane and 10 centimeter above horizontal plane. Can you tell me this point will be present in which quadrant? अगर मेरे पास ऐसा इंफॉर्मेशन है 20 सेंटीमीटर इन फ्रंट ऑफ VP एंड 10 सेंटीमीटर इन अबव HP, कैन यू टेल मी वेयर दिस पॉइंट विल बी प्रेजेंट? Where this point will be present? Obviously it's the first quadrant. VP के सामने, this is the front portion above, so it will be present in the first quadrant. Let us suppose this is point A. ठीक है, first quadrant में it will be present. One type of question. If I say the front view, always say that we are always seeing this body from this end. ठीक है, this is the front view, and if I see from this perspective, this is the top view. So the front view will always be present, or it will be available on the vertical plane. Let's say I'm taking it as A. ठीक है, and the top view will be always present in the horizontal. Let's say this is A dash. ठीक है, fine. Sorry, front view is dash and small letter is the top view. ठीक है, fine. Always remember front view में we call it as a dash and a small letter is for the top view. But यहाँ पे we are not able to understand. If I want to show, this is a 3-dimensional figure, है ना? This is a 3-dimensional diagram. If I want to show in a 2-dimensional perspective, तो उसके लिए what we do, we try to draw the XY line diagram. What is XY line? Let us suppose जहां पर ये दोनों intersect करें, this is X and Y. ठीक है? So if I try to draw this XY line, अब मुझे बताइए this point A dash is how much distance above XY line? Can you tell me? जो point A dash है, which we call it as a front view, this point A dash is at a distance of how much above XY line? Can we say this distance is 10 centimeter? Yes, understood, है ना? And if I talk about, अब ये तो आ गया आपका फ्रंट व्यू. अब मैं टॉप व्यू कैसे दिखाऊं? भाई टॉप व्यू के लिए आई हैव टू चेंज द पर्सपेक्टिव. तो उसके लिए क्या करते हैं? इट्स अ वेरी सिंपल टेक्निक. वी ट्राई टू रोटेट दिस हॉरिजॉन्टल प्लेन इन अ क्लॉकवाइज डायरेक्शन. वी ट्राई टू रोटेट दिस हॉरिजॉन्टल प्लेन इन अ क्लॉकवाइज डायरेक्शन. तो अगर ये पॉइंट ए क्लॉकवाइज घूमा, दिस इज द टॉप व्यू, तो टॉप व्यू आपको कहीं ना कहीं एक्स लाइन के नीचे आ जाएगा. सो इट विल बी प्रेजेंट ओवर हियर. कैन यू टेल मी व्हाट विल बी दिस डिस्टेंस? व्हाट इज द डिस्टेंस बिटवीन पॉइंट ए एंड द एक्स वाई लाइन? बेसिकली वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट दिस डिस्टेंस. ये कितना है? 20 centimeter. So this will be 20 centimeter. So this is the front view, and this this is the top view, and this is the front view of the point A. Is this clear? ठीक है, अगर ये क्लियर हो गया, then you won't be having any difficulty in projection of line or solids, anything, or projection of plane. ठीक है, मेजरली यू कैन एक्सपेक्ट अ क्वेश्चन फ्रॉम लाइन में एक हॉरिजॉन्टल ट्रेस करके आता है, दैट वी हैव टू डिस्कस, मतलब ट्रेस, व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ दिस ट्रेस, राइट? फॉर दैट you should be knowing what is the projection of point. So we have seen the front view and top view of a point. Is this clear? Right. Now let us suppose I'm having one more diagram like this. Let's say this is point A and this is A dash. This is, let us suppose, 10 and this is, let us suppose, 15. Okay, all in centimeter. Can you tell me this point A is present in which quadrant? ये point A किस quadrant में present होगा बताइए. Point A, actual point, is present in which quadrant? Now dash is basically, we are using A dash, basically we are talking about the front view, and A is basically your top view, right? है ना? Fine. चलिए, yes, बताइए, in which quadrant this point A will be present? First quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant, fourth quadrant. अब कैसे पता लगाएं? ठीक है, let's do this analysis. चलो, let's quickly draw this diagram. ठीक है, अब बोल क्या रहा है? Now front view will always be, you will be able to see very clearly. अब front view कहाँ है? Front view is above xy line. This is xy line, है ना? xy line के ऊपर है. So front view somewhere around there. ठीक है, having a distance of कितना? 15. ठीक है, clear? Fine. Front view, अब मतलब the body is kept in either first or the second quadrant. या तो body यहाँ पर है या तो body यहाँ पर है ना? Either the body is kept over here or here, because the front view is present above the xy line. That means either it will be in the first quadrant or the second quadrant. अब क्या है? Now the top view is present above xy line. मतलब कहीं ना कहीं the top view might be present over here when we are rotating this clockwise. क्योंकि अगर यहाँ present होता वो xy line के नीचे होता, it would have been gone to the below xy line. Because the top view was present over here, when you're rotating this, it will be coming over here. So that simply means our actual point was somewhere over here. This was the front view, this was the top view. So it is present in the second quadrant. The point is present in the second quadrant. Okay? Is this clear now? The point is present in the second quadrant. Mustafa is absolutely correct. ठीक है? Clear हुआ? क्योंकि when you're rotating, so what will be this distance? वहां से यहां तक कितना होगा? It is 10. Clear? Understood? Can we take one more example? चलिए एक और example लिखते हैं. Let's suppose this is the xy line and you guys will be telling me. ठीक है, अब आप लोग बताएंगे this is point A having a distance of 10 and this is point A dash having a distance of let's say 20. ठीक है, अब बताइए where is the point present or what is the distance of this point from vertical plane? What is the distance from vertical plane? Tell me in the comment section. What is the distance of this point from the vertical plane? Very easy question. इस पॉइंट A का वर्टिकल प्लेन से कितना डिस्टेंस पे है? This point A is at a distance from, how much distance from vertical plane? So not understood. ठीक है, we'll be taking one more example. Don't worry, Artik. 20. देखो simple है. This is a very easy technique. Always draw the diagram like this. ठीक है, आप इस डायग्राम को ड्रॉ करेंगे, हॉरिजॉन्टल प्लेन एंड वर्टिकल प्लेन. दिस इज वर्टिकल प्लेन, this is your horizontal plane, this is the vertical plane. ठीक है, this is your vertical plane, this is horizontal plane, right? This is the xy line. Now try to identify a dash is the front view and it is present below xy line. So if the a dash is present below xy line, tell me my point is either in third quadrant or fourth quadrant. या तो point will be present over here or over here, because the front view will be seen in the vertical plane. Yes or no, Hardik? Exactly, very good. Iqbal, clear हुआ? देखो, because you are seeing this point from over here, so the front view is present below xy line, so definitely the actual point will be either over here or over here. That I don't know. ठीक है, by only knowing this information we are able to see that. And what is the distance? This is having a distance of 20. This is a dash. ठीक है, is this clear? This one, till this point, anyone having a doubt? ये clear हुआ? So if this is clear, so now top view is having a distance of 10. Now top view can be present over here also, over here also. अगर आपका top view is present over here, then what will happen? If you try to rotate this horizontal plane, it will be coming below xy line. Is my top view coming below xy line? No, so this is not possible. Only this is possible. That means my actual point is present over here. Its top view is present over here. The front view is present over here, and the top view is having a distance of from the vertical plane of how much? 10. ठीक है? So I can say this point A is a distance of 10 units from vertical plane. The final answer is 10. Correct. Sachin is absolutely correct. Iqbal is absolutely correct. ठीक है, this point A is at a distance of 10 units from the vertical plane. Understood? In the same question they are asking, it is at a distance of 20 units from the horizontal plane. This point A, the actual position is present at a distance of 20 units from the horizontal plane. Clear hai? Understood now? Please tell me yes or no. Because अगर ये clear हो गया ना, then I would say बाकी सारे projection you can easily able to answer the problem. ठीक है, only difficulty is where or how we are basically able to draw the or understand the projection. That's it. अगर आपको projection clear हो गया, then you will be able to answer it very easily. Okay, clear? Projection of point clear हुआ? Now let us talk about the projection of line. Now let us talk about the projection of line. Now line में क्या है? Line में difficulty ये है. Let us suppose this is the a line. You are able to see exactly same length, right? You are able to see exactly same length because it is exactly parallel to your vision or exactly parallel to your view. But let us suppose I'm having a pen kept like this. Are you able to see the exact length or are you able to see a point? You're only able to see a point. Actually, this is not a point. This is a straight line. So here the orientation also matters. है ना? Fine. There the orientation also matters, right? So चलिए देखते हैं कैसे करें projection of line. So let us suppose a line is, let us suppose there is a line, okay? Let's suppose this is the horizontal plane, this is the vertical plane. Now let us suppose the line is perpendicular to, let's say the line is perpendicular to horizontal plane and parallel to vertical plane. So can you tell me where you will be able to see the true length of this particular line? Where you will be able to see the true length of this line? Anyone? If I say it is perpendicular to HP, then this is a line AB, right? So you will be able to see the true length in the front view, the top view. You will be able to see the true length in the front view. Yes, that is A dash B dash. Okay, that is A dash B dash. Is this clear? Fine. If I talk about the top view में आपको क्या दिखेगा? हाँ, top view में आपको क्या दिखेगा? Top view में you will be able to see a point. This is point A and this is the same point as B. So this is your top view. तो यहाँ पे the point is how the line is kept That is very important. Okay, and if you're able to visualize that, I think then you're able to understand. ठीक है, अगर ये मान लीजिए inclined होता, something like this. Let us suppose this is your vertical plane, this is the horizontal plane, right? We are having a line which is parallel to VP and inclined to HP. ठीक है, it's parallel to VP and inclined to HP, so definitely it will be having some inclination with the horizontal plane, right? So if you try to extend this line, when you are extending the line, so where it is intersecting the principal plane, that point we call it as trace. So when a line is extended and if it intersects the principal plane, अगर वो principal plane पे intersect करता है, that could be a vertical plane also, that could be horizontal plane, so that we call it as trace. Okay, जब this line is extended, so if it is intersecting at any one of the planes, that we call it as trace. So here we can have horizontal trace also, we can have vertical trace also. So tell me, in this example, in example number 1, do we have any vertical trace or do we have any horizontal trace? Yeah, example number 1 में can we have the vertical trace? Can we have the vertical trace? Vertical trace का मतलब when you extend this line, it should be intersecting at the vertical plane. It is not intersecting, so there is no vertical trace. We are having only this point as the horizontal trace. ठीक है, एक ही point है, that is horizontal trace. Is this clear? Fine. Trace का simple मतलब, the basic meaning of the trace is when you extend that line. Okay, when you extend that line, and if that line is intersecting at any, it is intersecting on the principal plane, so that point we call it as a trace. And if that point is located on the horizontal plane, we call it as horizontal trace. And if that point is located on the vertical plane, we call it as vertical trace. ठीक है? Is this clear? Understood? Like in this example, if the line is parallel to VP and inclined to HP, do we have horizontal trace or vertical trace? Tell me in the second example. In this case, do we have vertical trace or do we have horizontal trace? Agar this line is extended, question is parallel to VP and inclined to HP, do we have vertical trace, both vertical trace and horizontal trace, or only vertical trace or only horizontal trace? Tell me. Is example pen, the second example. This is the first example that we have discussed. If a line is parallel to VP and inclined to HP, do we have any horizontal trace or vertical trace, or do we have both? Yes or no? देखो अब यहाँ पे क्वेश्चन में स्टूडेंट्स गेट कंफ्यूज. देखो इसको मैं समझाता हूं. ये देखिए, मान लीजिए क्वेश्चन इज parallel to VP and inclined to HP. ठीक है? So let us suppose this is vertical plane. It is parallel to VP, right? It is parallel to VP. Inclined to HP. Now tell me, will this line will be intersecting, if you see from the side view, will this line will be intersecting the vertical plane? क्या ये line, will this be intersecting the vertical plane? Yes or no? It never will be intersecting. So there is no vertical trace. We only have horizontal trace. Is this clear? So the students, those who are telling me both trace will be present, it is only horizontal trace will be present, no vertical trace will be present. Is this clear? देखो सिंपल रखिए, ये आपका वर्टिकल प्लेन है, दिस इज द हॉरिजॉन्टल प्लेन. ठीक है, तो अगर ये इफ आई से दिस इज द हॉरिजॉन्टल प्लेन, दिस इज द वर्टिकल प्लेन, सो इफ देयर इज अ लाइन व्हिच इज इंक्लाइंड टू हॉरिजॉन्टल प्लेन बट पैरेलल टू VP, so if it is parallel to VP, this line will never ever intersect to vertical plane. अगर वो इंटरसेक्ट ही नहीं कर रहा, इफ इट इज नॉट बीइंग इंटरसेक्टिंग एट वर्टिकल प्लेन, तो हाउ वी कैन गेट द वर्टिकल ट्रेस? ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे डिसाइडिंग फैक्टर, मेनी स्टूडेंट दे विल मार्किंग, अरे सर टेढ़ा सा दिखेगा, सो डेफिनेटली दे विल बी हैविंग वर्टिकल एंड हॉरिजॉन्टल ट्रेस। तो ट्राई टू विजुअलाइज दिस, यू विल बी एबल टू आंसर इट वेरी एक्यूरेटली। ठीक है, फाइन, बिकॉज ट्रेस से क्वेश्चन बहुत बार पूछा जाता है एंड यू शुड बी एबल टू आंसर टू दिस प्रॉब्लम। इज दिस क्लियर? फाइन, ओके, अंडरस्टूड। चलो, so now let's quickly talk about this one. Now this one is, we call it as the front view, this is the top view, है ना? ये आपका टॉप व्यू के लिए यहां से we are seeing, the front view के लिए we are seeing from this end, right? So I think this already we have covered. ठीक है, चलो, now let us talk about one more example. A point A is 20 mm above HP and 35 mm behind VP. So 20 mm above HP, this is 20 mm, right? And 35 mm behind VP, this is 35 mm. Okay, so if I try to draw, this is the front view, this is the top view, right? Okay, so if I take this as x file, this is x, this is y, तो x file जब बनाएंगे, a dash and a will be on the same side, this is a dash and a, so by this way we are able to draw the xy line projection. Clear? एक एग्जांपल था ओनली फॉर प्रैक्टिस, राइट? ठीक है, ओके, क्लियर। चलिए अब थोड़ा सा कोनिक्स की बात करते हैं, बिकॉज वी आर ऑलमोस्ट 1 hour इज गोइंग पास, तो थोड़ा सा कोनिक्स की बात करते हैं, देन विल बी एंटरिंग टू द रोलेट्स, क्योंकि रोलेट्स भी एक इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक है वेयर यू कैन एक्सपेक्ट सम क्वेश्चंस। चलो, व्हाट इज कोनिक्स? व्हाट इज कोनिक्स? Conics is basically when you are cutting a right circular hollow cone. If you're having a right circular hollow cone, right? If you're cutting, you will be getting some shapes. So that shape that we are getting, or that curve that we are getting, we call it as conics. आपने इसको पढ़ा होगा आपके क्लास 11th या 12th में भी, ठीक है? अगर if you're having a hollow cone, if you're having a hollow cone, so if you try to cut, let's suppose I'm cutting like this, so we'll be getting something like this. So this is nothing but an ellipse. If I'm cutting a section like this, so we'll be getting a rectangular hyperbola, or we can say a hyperbola, right? So definitely a rectangular hyperbola. So here we need to identify in conics what kind of shapes we can get. In conics we can get ellipse, or we can say we can get a circle. Okay, we can get ellipse, we can get parabola, right? We can get hyperbola, we can get rectangular hyperbola, we can get a straight line. Okay, so let me show you the diagram so that you are able to clearly visualize. Now what is happening? We are cutting this plane. Now if I say and we are always measuring the angle from the vertical, so this section plane is making an angle with the vertical, ठीक है? Let us suppose this angle, this if I draw it over here, this is your right circular cone, and this is the right circular cone, right? This angle we call it as a semi-cone angle. Alpha is your semi-cone angle. ठीक है? Fine. Now how we can obtain a hollow cone? एक right circular hollow cone कैसे मिलेगा? What we can do is we can keep this particular line, and if you try to rotate, अगर इस line को rotate करेंगे, then we'll be able to obtain what? We'll be able to obtain a right circular cone. Yes? If I'm having a line and if you try to rotate this, I'll be getting a hollow cone. Yes or no? And this line we call it as generator. ठीक है? अगर मैं एक shape को किसी के about axis के about if I'm rotating, that is basically generating the curve. That is we call it as generators. So in a right circular cone, we can have how many number of generators? How many number of generators we can obtain? Can you tell me in right circular cone how many generators are present? A question was asked. Tell me. In a right circular cone, if I say there is a straight line, this is one generator, second generator. So how many generators we can obtain? in a right circle cone we can have infinite generators. Infinite generator होते हैं एक right circle cone में. But if I talk about end generators, if I talk about end generators, end generator means the extreme point. So these are end generator. This is also end generator. So in a right circle cone, we are having only two end generators. In a right circular cone, we are having two end generators. But if I talk about only generators, we are having infinite generators in a right circular cone. Yes, ठीक है आशीष? No, it's not 4, it's 2. ठीक है? Clear? Generators will be infinite. और इसी सारे जनरेटर को when we are joining, we are getting a right circle cone. Okay, is this clear? Right. So वही right circle cone को if we are cutting with respect to what, let's suppose this having theta, if theta equal to how second end generator, because let's say this is one end, right? अब इसको आप थोड़ा सा ऐसे देखिए, let's say this is one right circle cone, है ना? This is one end and this is the second extreme end. We are starting from this. This is the one extreme and this is the second. Return to this. Okay. So if I trying to have a two right circular cone, something like this. So here we are having two end generators. ठीक है? We are having two end generators. Clear, Hardik? फाइन. अगर मेरे पास एक जनरेटर है तो मेरे पास वी कैन हैव एंड इनफाइनाइट जनरेटर्स. तो दो एक्सट्रीम्स में वी आर हैविंग हाउ मच? ओनली टू जनरेटर्स. वन इज दिस एक्सट्रीम, सेकंड इज दिस एक्सट्रीम. ओके, दैट इज व्हाई आई एम सेइंग वी आर हैविंग टू एंड जनरेटर्स. राइट? ओके, नाउ अब इसी राइट सर्कुलर कोन को वी आर कटिंग, वी आर यूजिंग सम सेक्शन प्लेन एंड वी आर गेटिंग सम कर्व्स. Okay, so what is this curve? So if the theta is equal to 90 degree and the angle that we are making is with the vertical, the section plane, that angle that we are making is, that means if we are having this angle to be 90 degree, then we're getting a circle. If this theta is we can say yes, when the theta is we can say this is your angle, right? इसको ऐसे देखते हैं. This is your, with the vertical, this is the angle. Okay, or you can say like this. ठीक है, fine. This is that angle. इसको यहाँ पर देखते हैं. हाँ. So when the theta is greater than that of alpha, अगर आपका theta alpha से ज़्यादा है, so tell me what we are getting. If the theta is greater than that of alpha, then we are getting ellipse. ठीक है. When the theta is exactly equal to alpha, we are getting parabola. Less than alpha, less than the semicone angle is equal to parabola. When theta is greater than that of alpha, we are getting hyperbola. Right? उल्टा लिख दिया, उल्टा लिख दिया. Greater than होगा ellipse में, less than होगा hyperbola में. And when it is exactly equal to 0, then we are getting a rectangular hyperbola. ठीक है, fine. This you might have studied in your school days also. वहां पर आपने conics पढ़ा होगा. If the section is being cutting, right? So अगर मैं इसको एक एनिमेशन के थ्रू समझाऊं, देखो, are you able to see this animation? Let me hide myself. This is a circle, slightly more angle, ellipse. Then we are having a parabola. Then we are having a hyperbola. Then we are having a rectangular hyperbola. Then we are having straight line. Okay. Are you able to visualize what is happening? When you are cutting the section, we are getting different, right? We are starting from the circle. Then we are getting when theta equal to 90 degree, right? This is your 90 degree. When you are having theta greater than that of alpha, then we are having ellipse, right? When this theta is equal to alpha, we are getting parabola. And when this theta is less than that of alpha, we are having hyperbola. And when this theta is exactly equal to 0 degree, we are having rectangular hyperbola. ठीक है, we are having this rectangular hyperbola, right? Fine. अब क्या क्वेश्चन में ऐसे आ सकता है, you can never know. Now the next problem is we are getting a straight line also. When you are getting the straight line, when this section is exactly parallel to, or we can say exactly equal to this, when this theta is exactly equal to alpha, and your plane is passing through apex, then only we'll be getting the straight line. तो क्वेश्चन ये है, if theta is equal to alpha, are we getting parabola or are we getting a straight line? It depends कि plane कहां से जा रहा है. If the plane is going apart from apex, then we'll be getting a parabola. अगर यही plane it is passing through this one, right, apex, then we'll be getting a straight line. Okay. अच्छा, एक और example, एक और question. This kind of statement based question you can expect. Let us suppose we are having a right circle cone. It's a hollow cone which we also called as nappy, and इसको हम nappy भी बोलते हैं. Let us suppose my question is the section plane is passing through apex, right? It is passing through apex and theta is greater than that of alpha. Tell me, theta is greater than that of alpha, what you will be obtaining? अगर जो section plane है, if it is passing through apex and the angle, section plane angle is greater than that of alpha, what profile you will be getting? Let's see who will be giving me the answer. देखो, दिस इज द सेक्शन प्लेन, ठीक है, ये देखिए, यहां से देखते हैं, दिस इज द सेक्शन प्लेन पासिंग थ्रू एपेक्स, इट इज मेकिंग एन एंगल मोर देन दैट ऑफ अल्फा. सो व्हाट विल बी गेटिंग? यू विल बी गेटिंग अब देखो, ये आपका कोन है, यू आर कटिंग फ्रॉम दिस, सो विल बी गेटिंग ओनली अ पॉइंट. आपको सिर्फ एक पॉइंट मिलेगा. यू विल बी गेटिंग अ पॉइंट, दैट्स इट. You'll be getting exactly a point. इकबाल सर, isosceles triangle कब फॉर्म होता है? Then you should be having two section plane. That too alpha is equal to theta. Passing through apex, alpha equal to theta, then you'll be getting an isosceles triangle. तब आपको मिल जाएगा. Ellipse नहीं मिलेगा. You won't be getting an ellipse. ठीक है? Understood? Clear? ठीक है, परफेक्ट है, फाइन. तो इजी है ये, इसमें कुछ डिफिकल्टी नहीं है, राइट? यू कैन विजुअलाइज ओवर हियर. वी आर हैविंग दिस एज थीटा इक्वल टू 90 डिग्री, थीटा इज ग्रेटर देन दैट ऑफ अल्फा, थीटा इज इक्वल टू अल्फा, थीटा इक्वल टू 0 डिग्री. दिस इज कॉल्ड एज रेक्टेंगुलर हाइपरबोला. दिस इज योर रेक्टेंगुलर हाइपरबोला. ओके, क्लियर? अब क्या क्वेश्चन में आपसे ऐसे पूछा जाएगा? No, you should be knowing the basic concept. There is one more technique by which we can obtain this conics, that is we call it as eccentricity method. वो important है. Eccentricity method से we can obtain these different conics. So from there you can expect the question which we do it as E. ठीक है, हार्दिक? देखो, ये you should be knowing because there are multiple ways to obtain the curve. So one of the ways by using the section method that we have seen. Second way is we can use the eccentricity method. So what is this eccentricity method? Let us try to define what is this eccentricity. Eccentricity is nothing but the ratio of the distance of a point, from a fixed point to we can say to that of a fixed line. ठीक है, अब इसमें से कैसे we can define? Let us suppose we are having a fixed line. This is your fixed line. This fixed line we call it as directrix. This fixed line we call it as directrix. And there is a fixed point also. This is the fixed point, which we call it as the focus also, right? But यहाँ पर हम fixed point will be calling this as fixed point. Now there's a point P which is moving. This point P is moving, right? So the distance of this point, let's say this is your perpendicular, this is point K, and this distance is PF. So eccentricity is nothing but the distance of the fixed point to that of the fixed line. This distance is called as eccentricity. This distance we call it as eccentricity. मतलब ये point P move कर रहा है. It is continuously moving like this. Okay, it is continuously moving like this. So this point P, always the distance will be same. If this point P is present over here also, then this distance versus this distance will be same. That is P dash F divided by P dash K. This distance will be same. So how we are relating this with conics? So what is conics? Conics is basically the locus obtained by this point P. The locus obtained by this point P, जो ये आपको कर्व मिल रहा है, this curve we call it as conics. है ना? This curve we call it as conics. So it is the locus of a point moving on a plane, okay, moving on a plane such that its eccentricity is constant. ठीक है? It is a locus of a point. We can say it is the locus of a point moving along a plane having constant eccentricity, that is we call it as conics. अब यहाँ पे हम कैसे define करें? Eccentricity we can have infinite values, right? So let us try to understand if eccentricity E is equal to 0, then you will be obtaining the circle. ठीक है, अगर आपका eccentricity E, what is eccentricity E? That is your PF by PK, है ना? Eccentricity E is equal to PF by PK, right? So this point will be, if this eccentricity E is having a 0 value, then we'll be getting a circle. If eccentricity E is less than 1, that means we'll be getting an ellipse. When eccentricity is exactly equal to 1, we'll be getting a parabola. If eccentricity is greater than 1, then we can get a hyperbola, right? If eccentricity is exactly equal to root 2, we call it as a rectangular hyperbola. And this eccentricity is equal to tending to infinity, then we are getting a straight line. Okay, so eccentricity and locus is different concept. Now eccentricity is different. And we are using this eccentricity concept into conics. And what is this conics? When you are having a locus of a point and that point is having a constant value of eccentricity. Let us suppose here E value is equal to 0.5. Let us suppose. Ab E equal to 0.5 matlab E less than 1. E less than 1 matlab we are having ellipse. So if we are having an eccentricity value equal to 0.5, and if you try to find out the locus of that point P, that means at each and every point this PF by PK will be equal to 0.5. This we call it as a ellipse. We call it as an ellipse. Okay? So we are using the concept of eccentricity method to identify the conics. Okay, we are using this eccentricity method to identify the conics. And what is this eccentricity that we have seen over here? Okay, fine. Is this clear? So let us suppose if I talk about circle matlab we are having eccentricity equal to 0. So either we can take PF equal to 0, or can we say PK is tending to infinity? If I say this is your directrix line, this is point P, this is point F. Okay, fine. So if I say this is point K, right? So if I say E is tending to 0, can we say PK is tending to infinity? That means the directrix is at infinity. If the directrix is at infinity, and if you try to obtain the locus of the point, then we'll be getting a circle. That means each and every distance of this point from this point K will be tending to infinity. This will be infinity. Okay, Is this clear? Fine, we are getting a circle. Let us suppose if I talk about ellipse. Ellipse कैसे मिलेगा? Eccentricity less than 1. So let us put this is the directrix. This is directrix. These are two directrix. Let's say this is directrix 1. This is directrix 2. This is your fixed point 1. This is fixed point 2. Right? So if you try to measure, we'll be getting a profile like this. And this is nothing but your ellipse. So if you take, let's say this is point P. Okay, so PF1 by PK1, let's say this is K1. So PF1 divided by PK1 will be less than 1. That means your eccentricity. This is your for ellipse. Yeah, ellipse के लिए. Okay, clear? Any point, if I say this point P is located over here also, तो यहाँ से यहाँ तक का distance and ये वाला distance, definitely this will be less than 1. And that will be equal. Let's suppose this is equal to 0.5. So at each and every point, this eccentricity value will be equal to 0.5. Or let us suppose this is equal to 0.8. So at each and every point, the eccentricity value will be equal to 0.8. ठीक है? Fine. Is this clear? अब इसमें एक speciality है. The speciality is, if I take this point P, ये ellipse के लिए speciality है. Note down this. Very important. Ellipse का एक speciality है. The summation of PF1 plus PF2 is always constant. Is always constant. ठीक है? And that is basically we call it as for ellipse. That means the summation of the point or the locus of a point from the two fixed points PF1 plus PF2 will always be having a constant value. And this is we call it as for ellipse. And if this PF1 minus PF2, if it is having a constant value, right, then that is basically we are using for hyperbola. Hyperbola में the distance of this will be different. तो hyperbola में कैसे बनता है? देखो hyperbola में what is happening? Your E is greater than 1. That is PF by PK is greater than 1. मतलब PF आपका ज्यादा होगा. That means your directrix are much more closer. This is your, let's say, point F1. This is point F2. ठीक है? Fine. This is your directrix. These are the two directrix, D1 and D2. So if I try to plot, we'll be getting a curve like this. We'll be getting a curve like this. Okay, this is your point P. Okay, so this is basically we call it as a hyperbola. Hyperbola में we'll be having this exactly same. This is clear now? So यहाँ से we can easily able to identify by calculating this eccentricity. If E is equal to 0, we'll be getting a circle, ellipse, parabola, hyperbola. Simply statement based question was seen in the 2018, I think 18 or 19 में question पूछा था from this eccentricity, right? Okay, so you should be knowing how you can get what is the meaning of this word. So they won't be asking you what is the eccentricity. They'll be simply asking you if the ratio of the distance of a point from a fixed point to that of the fixed line is equal to unity, then which of the profile you will be getting? They are saying that the ratio of the distance of a point from the fixed point to that of the fixed line is equal to unity. So that means they are saying when E equal to 1, we are getting a parabola. Is this clear? We are getting a parabola. So by this perspective, now you can obtain any of the line. ठीक है? Clear है? क्योंकि अगर ये clear है, then only will be going for the roulets. ठीक है? Roulets पे जाएंगे. After roulets, we'll be seeing कि कितना time बचा है. Then only will be proceeding with the next segments. Okay. So now let's talk about the roulets. अब जैसे यहाँ पर है, we can see eccentric. Now the directrices are moving closer. When the directrix were at infinity, we were having a circle. When E is equal to 0, that we are having a circle, right? When E is less than 1, we are having ellipse, right? When E is equal to 1, we are having parabola. When E is greater than 1, we are having hyperbola. E equal to root 2, we are having a rectangular hyperbola. ठीक है? And you can visualize this when the directrices are coming closer. ठीक है? ये आपका rectangular hyperbola बन गया, right? And we are having a straight line when it is equal to tending to infinity. Clear? And what is E? Is equal to pk by pf by pk. This is directrix, this is your fixed point, right? This is point P and this is your distance. Okay? Eccentricity statement based question you can definitely expect in your examination. It's bilkul possible hai. Right? Instead of giving you the direct value of eccentricity, they'll be asking you in form of statement based. So wahan se you can now answer to this problem very easily. Clear? Chalo. So now let's talk about roulets. Now, what is a roulette? Roulette is basically when you're getting a curve when another curve is rolling without slipping. Okay. Roulette is a curve that we are getting by a generator or a pole or by a point attached to a given point, and that curve is rolling without slip along the given curve. We call it as roulets. Now, we are having different classification of roulets. Now, there are two possibilities. When the radius is tending to infinity and when the radius is not tending to infinity. If the radius is tending to infinity, can you tell me which kind of profile you will be getting? Agar koi curve ka radius is tending to infinity, then can you tell me which kind of profile you will be getting? Agar aapka radius is tending to infinity, will be getting a straight line? Yes. And if you are having this to be not equal to infinity, then we'll be getting a circle. So there are two possibilities. अगर किसी कर्व का radius infinite है, then definitely you'll be getting a straight line. If the radius is not tending to infinity, if it's at a finite value, so definitely we'll be getting a circle, right? So what is happening is, if one of the curve is rolling without slipping over another curve, okay, fine. So if you try to visualize, if I say this is the fixed curve, this is the fixed curve. Statement based, Hardik, you can expect, देखो normally drawing से ना statement based question ही आते हैं. They are usually asking the statement based question only, right? So this is the fixed curve and this green curve is rolling without slipping. This green curve is rolling without slipping, and if you try to trace out a point on this, तो ये आपका जो curve आया, that we call it as roulets. That we call it as a roulets. Okay. Clear? YouTube. Is this clear? So the green one is the we can say the rolling curve. ये आपका roll कर रहा है. Okay, 1 second guys, 1 second. Right? Okay. तो यहाँ पे we can have two possibilities. Let us suppose if we're having two curves. Let us suppose this is one of the curve, right, whose r is tending to infinity, right, and there is one more curve like this, and let us suppose there's a point on this curve, right, there's a point on this curve. Okay, so when this this is fixed and if this is moving, then we'll be getting, let's suppose this is point, ये roll करके यहाँ पहुँच गया, ये roll करके यहाँ पहुँच गया. So this point will be present over here and over. If you try to track down this locus, तो ये जो locus निकला, that we call it as cycloid. That we call it as cycloid. ठीक है? On the other hand, अगर मान लीजिए we are having the second possibility is this is fixed, right, and there's a straight line which is rolling. This is your moving curve. This is your moving curve. Okay. Initially it was, let's suppose this is point A. Then this has reached over here, then it has reached over here. Okay, it is rolling without slipping. So this point A is also moving from this point to this point. So this curve that is being obtained, this curve we call it as involute curve. इसको हम लोग बोलते हैं involute curve. Okay, yes, clear. अब यहाँ पे questions कैसे आते हैं? Question देख, you can expect is, apart from this, there are many possibilities. Apart from this, there are many possibilities, right? So now, so if I say there is one curve, ये आपका एक बड़ा circle है, which call it as cap. Normally the capital letter I am using for the fixed, and the small letter I am using for the moving curve. Okay? Small letters is basically for the moving curve. Okay? So let us suppose this is a fixed curve, and इसके ऊपर the circle is rolling without slip. ठीक है, rolling without slip. This is point P, it is rolling. So which kind of profile you will be getting? So this kind of profile, when the body, when the curve is rolling above the curve, then we call it as your, yes, epicycloidal curve. Okay, epicycloidal curve. On the other hand, if I say there's a fixed curve and there's a moving curve, and it is rolling inside this point P, आपका point P है, ये आपका point P है, which locus we have to trace down. तो ये fixed है, this one is the capital R that is being fixed. ठीक है, this is being fixed, this is moving. So when you trace down this profile, then here we'll be getting a hypocycloidal curve. ठीक है, जब फिक्स कर्व के अंदर when a curve is rotating, we call it as hypo. When fixed कर्व के ऊपर we are having this kind of situation, we call it as epicycloidal. So can we have involute में something like this? क्या involute में, और we won't be having like this, है ना? Involute में तो ऐसा possible ही नहीं है. ये तो throughout will be having same possibility, but in cycloidal we can have two possibilities like this. अगर ये कर्व इसके ऊपर रोटेट करे, and the same if it is rotating over to this. But tell me one thing, the kind of curve that will be getting in this and this will be same or different. अगर मेरे पास this is a fixed line, ठीक है, और fixed line के ऊपर a circle is rolling without slip, and fixed line के नीचे a circle is rolling without slip. In both case this P point will be having one profile like this. ठीक है, क्योंकि ये ऐसे करके rotate करेगा. This P point will be reaching over here, then here. If you try to join, you'll be getting a locus. Here also, when this roller is rolling, so इसमें भी what will be happening? Will be having the same curve. इसी कारण सिर्फ cycloid में we are not having hypo or epi. ठीक है, सिर्फ cycloid में we are not having hypo or epi. But yes, if this straight fixed line is changed to a curve, change to a curve, ठीक है, then we are having epi and hypo. Clear? इसमें भी if you see here what is happening, इसमें भी ऊपर और नीचे rotate कर रहा है, but here the fix is having the radius is tending to infinity, so here we are not having epi or hypo, we simply call it as cycloid. Okay, but here because the radius is not tending to infinity, capital R is not tending to infinity, so that simply means we'll be having epi and hypocycloid. Clear? Correct, Arpit. Very good. अब एक और possibility है, can we have this point P outside this curve? If this point P is outside this curve, we call it as trochoids. Okay, that means if I say this is the straight line, okay, and this is the curve that we are having, which is rolling. Okay, fine. So if this point P is outside this curve, let's say this is point P. So if CP is greater than small r, then here we'll be getting what? We'll be getting superior trochoid. ठीक है, let us suppose if you're having this fixed straight line and this point P is located inside the curve, let's say this is present over here, that means your CP is less than small r. So in this case we'll be getting a inferior trochoid. ठीक है, क्लियर? मतलब पॉइंट P का जो लोकेशन है इट इज इनसाइड द कर्व. अगर ये कर्व के ऊपर होता ऑन द कर्व, देन दैट विल बी कॉल्ड एज अ साइक्लॉइड. बट दिस पॉइंट whose locus we are tracing out, if it is not present on the curve, if it is present outside the curve, then we'll be getting superior trochoid. If it is present on inside the curve, we'll be getting an inferior trochoid. ठीक है, is this clear? So trochoid will be present only if the point is not present on the curve, right? Okay, so if I ask you one very easy question, you guys will be telling me, right? अच्छा, इसी में ही अगर एक और point ले, we are having this as the fixed curve, and this is your moving curve. This is the fixed one, and this is the moving one. This is center, and this is point P inside the curve. So tell me, what kind of profile you will be getting? क्या ये cycloid है? Is it cycloid or trochoid or involute? Do we get a trochoid, do we get a cycloid, or do we get a involute? देखो इन्वॉल्यूट हो नहीं सकता. इन्वॉल्यूट के लिए आपका सर्कल फिक्स होगा और जो मूविंग होगा वो एक स्ट्रेट लाइन होगा. नॉट पॉसिबल. सेकंड पॉसिबिलिटी साइक्लॉइड. अब साइक्लॉइड के लिए पॉइंट पी शुड बी ऑन द कर्व, है ना. इट इज नॉट प्रेजेंट ऑन द कर्व, इट इज प्रेजेंट इनसाइड द कर्व, सो इट विल बी अ वी कैन से inferior trochoid, inferior trochoid. But as it is moving, as this moving curve is outside the fixed curve, so that we call it as epi. So the final answer is epi inferior trochoid. Epi inferior trochoid. Is this clear? Epi inferior trochoid. क्या ये clear हुआ? और ये statement base आता है. The question is being asked repeatedly, statement base. ओके फाइन. तो अगर मैं इसको कंपाइल करूं, सिंपल, अगर मान लीजिए दिस इज योर फिक्स्ड कर्व. ओके, दिस इज द मूविंग कर्व एंड पॉइंट P इज ऑन द कर्व. सो टेल मी, व्हाट डू वी गेट, ट्रोकॉइड और साइक्लॉइड? पहला क्वेश्चन, व्हाट डू वी गेट, ट्रोकॉइड और साइक्लॉइड? द पॉइंट इज लोकेटेड ऑन द मूविंग कर्व. तो ट्रोकॉइड मिलेगा, साइक्लॉइड मिलेगा. सर इट विल बी अ साइक्लॉइड. ठीक है. एज दिस कर्व इज आउटसाइड द फिक्स कर्व, डू वी हैव हाइपो और डू वी हैव एपी? टेल मी, क्या हाइपो होगा या एपी होगा? सिंपल सा क्वेश्चन. इट विल बी, वेरी गुड वेरी गुड, इट विल बी एपी. सो ये आपका क्या है? दिस इज एपी साइक्लॉइड. दैट्स इट, आंसर डन. दिस इज एपी साइक्लॉइड. अगर यही चीज, if I say this is the fixed curve and the moving curve is inside and point is located on the curve, ठीक है, fine. So क्योंकि this is rolling over the curve, so this will be a cycloid. But क्योंकि आपका point P अंदर कर्व के ऊपर है, that we are having a cycloid, but this curve is rolling inside the curve, so that will be hypo. So final answer is hypocycloid. Clear? ठीक है. तो shall we take some questions on this? Shall we take some question on this? देखिए, चलिए बताइए. The first curve that you are seeing is which one? चलिए बताइए. The first curve, this one. This is the point P and this is rolling, right? So we are tracing out this point. So which kind of curve, this curve, which kind of curve we are getting over here? Is it a trochoid or cycloid? Is it a trochoid or cycloid? Exact. Point अंदर है ना? It is, if I take this as C, तो CP is less than R. CP less than R means the point is inside. That means it is inferior. है ना? It is inferior. Inferior. Right? क्योंकि इसके ऊपर नहीं है, so it will be inferior trochoid. That's it. The final answer is inferior trochoid. Inferior trochoid. Okay? Clear? अच्छा, tell me about the second one. Tell me about the second one. In this case, the point P is located on the moving curve. It is located on the moving curve, right? This is point P. It is located on the moving curve, or we can say CP is equal to R. So definitely we'll be getting a cycloid. Cycloid. But क्या इसमें एपी, हाइपो, इंफीरियर, सुपीरियर कुछ होगा? नहीं होगा. So this is simply only cycloid. That's it. So this curve we call it as cycloid. है ना? Clear? Fine. क्योंकि if a straight line में, if a curve is rolling, if a point is moving or rolling like this, okay, and if the same roller is rolling below this, you'll be getting a same curve, exactly same curve. So that is the reason plain cycloidal may you are not having epi or hypo. If it is rolling on a straight line, you'll be getting the same curve. So इसमें कोई वो नहीं होगा epi or hypo. But यही अगर straight line was a curve, then we would have in an epi or hypo. Clear? Fine. अच्छा, third one example. This is point C, this is point P. CP is greater than that of small r. So tell me which kind of curve you are getting over here. Which kind of curve you are getting over here. Definitely a trochoid. Definitely a trochoid. Now, trochoid तो अकेला नहीं होगा. Either it will be inferior or superior. Trochoid तो अकेला नहीं होगा. It will be either inferior or superior. As CP, as point P is placed outside the moving curve. So this will be a superior trochoid. ठीक है? अरे बाबा मधुराज, it won't be epitrochoid. Epi तब होगा ना जब it is moving on a curve. It is moving on a straight line. Straight line में if it is rolling, if a circle is rolling without slip on a straight line, you will be getting the same profile. Either it is rolling above the line or below the line. हाँ, अगर ऐसा होता question, it would have been something like this. This is the fixed curve, right? अब इस fixed curve में if you're having this roller, right, this is C and this is point P, and if this is rolling like this, and if you're taking the locus of this point, so what kind of profile you will be getting? So this is the profile that we are getting. So this profile we call it as. Now बताइए. Now here CP is greater than that of the moving the radius of the moving curve, है ना? तो इसमें what kind of profile you will be getting? चलिए बताइए. Because this CP is not this point P is not on the curve, so it will be a trochoid. यह trochoid होगा. ठीक है? अब trochoid अकेला नहीं आता, या तो inferior या superior. This point P is located outside, so this is your superior trochoid. But as it is rolling on a curve above the curve, क्योंकि आप इस केस में the fix का जो radius है, it is not equal to infinity. It is having some finite value. So इस केस में will be having epi superior trochoid. Very good, Iqbal. Epi superior trochoid. Clear? Fine. So this curve that we'll be getting will be epi superior trochoid. Same example. Let us suppose this, something like this. This is a point P. This is C. So tell me, what kind of profile you will be getting? CP is less than R. Tell me, what kind of profile you will be getting over here? Quickly. Hypo inferior trochoid. Very good. Very good. क्योंकि the point P is not present on the curve, it will be a trochoid. ठीक है? As it is moving below the curve, that is hypo. ठीक है? अब trochoid अकेले नहीं आएगा, either superior or inferior. अब क्योंकि CP is less than R, so this is an inferior. That's it. So hypo inferior trochoid. That's it. Clear है? Hypo inferior trochoid. I think now you are able to answer it very easily. Okay. Now, same question if I'm asking you, if this point P in the same question, this one, the second, this lower diagram, if point P is present on the curve, that means CP is equal to R, what kind of profile you'll be getting? Tell me in the comment section. If CP is equal to small r, then what kind of profile you will be getting? Quickly tell me the answer. चलिए देखो, अगर पॉइंट P कर्व के ऊपर है, साइक्लोइड, आंसर इज साइक्लोइड. बट एज द fixed curve is a fix is not having infinite radius, it's a curve. So definitely now we have to check whether this moving curve is above the curve or below the curve. अब क्योंकि ये below the curve है, तो आंसर इज hypocycloid. Hypocycloid. Clear? Hypocycloid. Clear है? Understood now how you can identify the different types of roulets in this case? So can I ask you one more last question? Yes, one last question from this. Chaliye, let us go and let us ask one more question from this. Let us suppose something like this. This is your moving curve and this is the fixed curve. This is the fixed curve. This one is fixed. Okay. And this one is the moving curve. Okay. This is point P. Okay. This is fixed. So what kind of curve, and this is your small r, this is your capital R. Okay. So what kind of curve you'll be getting? Chaliye bataiye in the comment section. I want answers from every single student. What kind of curve you will be obtaining? What kind of curve you will be obtaining? Quickly. Answer comment section mein. There's a roller. Point P is located on the moving curve. Very good, Arpit. We have got one answer. Nihita, perfect. Very good. Madhura, tell me. Tiksha, Sachin, Hardik. Superior circular. देखो superior और inferior it's only applicable in trochoid. Superior and inferior only applicable in trochoid. Cycloidal में कोई superior inferior नहीं होगा क्योंकि point P is located on the curve. So this is a cycloid. This is a cycloid, but as the fix is also a curve, so here we'll be having an epicycloid. Here we'll be having an epicycloid. Okay, fine. And it is being seen that an important point that you can remember, if in an epicycloid, if small r is equal to capital R, if small r equal to capital R, then you will be getting a shape that we call it as cardioid shape. Then you'll be getting a shape something like this, and we call it as cardioid shape. क्योंकि देखो, if I try to take the locus, tell me, अगर ये moving curve is making one revolution, if moving curve is making one revolution, so definitely it will be, let's say this is the starting point. तो ending point भी आपका यहीं कहीं आएगा. So you'll be having a curve like this. Let us suppose, let's say this point P is over here. ठीक है, ये आपका point P है, and we have rotated, right? So what we are getting is, we'll be getting a curve like this. क्योंकि जो 2 pi r होगा, जितना वो rotate करेगा, it will be having the same value. यही आपका 2 pi r भी होगा. Right? So if it is completing one revolution, it will be having the same one starting point and one ending point. That means you'll be getting only one epicycloidal curve. So this kind of shape that we are obtaining, that we call it as the cardioid shape. Simple, याद रखने की एकदम से याद आ गया. Clear? Fine. Is it clear now? Okay. चलिए. अब इसी में ही ना, there is one more concept that we need to understand, that we call it as 2C couple. जगह है कहीं, जगह है, हाँ यहाँ पे बोलते हैं 2C couple. What is this 2C couple? 2C couple में there is one criteria that should be fulfilled. Criteria is, if your capital R is equal to 2 times of small r. If capital R is exactly equal to 2 times of small r, that means we can say small r is equal to capital R by 2. So ऐसे condition को we call it as 2C couple. This condition we call it as 2C couple. मतलब your capital R मतलब we are having the fixed curve. Okay, small r is the moving curve. Right, moving curve. Okay, right. So if any 2C couple, if we are having one equation, we are having one diagram as hypocycloid. Hypocycloid का मतलब, what is the meaning of hypocycloid? What's the meaning of hypocycloid? Hypocycloid will be something like this. This is your curve, this is the small curve. Okay, fine, right? Oh, sorry, hypo will be inside, right? Hypo will be inside. Hypo will be inside. Okay, hypo will be inside. Okay, so if you try to trace out the locus of this point P, if there is a 2C couple condition satisfied and if you're having a hypocycloid, then you will be getting a straight line. Then you will be getting a straight line, right? And if you're having a hypotrochoid, if you're having a hypotrochoid, in that case you'll be getting an ellipse. ठीक है, hypotrochoid का मतलब CP is we can say less than R, hypo inferior trochoid. ठीक है, it is being seen that if a 2C couple is having an hypo inferior trochoid, you'll be getting an ellipse, and if in a 2C couple, if hypocycloid is present, then you'll be getting a straight line. Okay, fine. We can say that you have to remember very important note on this, क्योंकि AS में once was asked, so definitely you can expect ESE में भी a question from this 2C couple. ठीक है, चलिए. So now let's proceed with the next segment, that is safety. Safety बहुत easy है, you might be knowing. I'll be giving you some key tips on fire safety and on the construction safety. Important है because it's been seen that for the last 2 years the number of questions from the safety is being increasing. Okay, from the all the 3 topics, safety say the questions are being increasing. So let us try to understand the safety. Now the word safety is nothing but, if you are having free from the danger, injury or damage, or freedom from the danger, injury or damage, that term we call it as safety. Now in safety there's a very important term that we need to understand, that we call it as hazard. What is an hazard? Anyone who can tell me what do you mean by this word hazard? Hazard ka matlab? Anyone? What's the meaning of this word hazard? Hazard ka matlab something which is we can say harmful to any person, that could be harmful to the environment. Okay, hazard is nothing but any potential source or any source of potential damage of harm which can be resulting into adverse health effect or something to someone, to any property, right? Like if I say one of the basic example that you might be knowing about, the Bhopal gas tragedy. You all might be knowing about this. Yes, है ना, Bhopal gas tragedy क्यों हुआ था? What was the reason for that? Anyone? What was the reason for that Bhopal gas tragedy? Yes, anyone? Which gas leaked out from that Bhopal gas tragedy? याद है किसी को? Or only on paper you are remembering? Methyl isocyanide, I think, है ना? Sachin, Diksha, Iqbal, Arpit, yes, I think it was methyl isocyanide was leaked into the atmosphere, and due to that the nearby zone was affected. That means that methyl isocyanide was the potential source of damage or harm or any adverse effect to the living person nearby, right? Okay, one more example that we can have is of Chernobyl. You might be knowing about this. There is one town in Ukraine which we call it as Chernobyl, right? And till now, till today, we call this as a dead city. अगर आप देखेंगे online also, you can see it is referred as a dead city. The persons, they are still not residing nearby to that places in that particular area. Okay, so hazards can be classified under 5 different categories. We can have biological, we can have psychological, we can have physical or chemical. So if I try to define types of hazards, so hazards is basically having 5 different classifications. One is biological. The best example you can say, what could be called power plant in Ukraine. Perfect. What is an example of a biological hazard? Anyone who can tell me? जो होता है आपका बैक्टीरिया से, वायरस से, इंसेक्ट, वी कैन कॉल इट एज कोविड, मलेरिया, है ना, फाइन, और योर we can say Nipah virus. Okay, so these are the hazards that we are getting from bacteria, virus, insect, plants or any animals. Okay, best example you all might be knowing about this is COVID. Yes, exactly. Fine. Second kind of hazard is your chemical hazard that we've already seen in the Bhopal gas strategy, or we can say Chernobyl example. That is an example which is basically directly infecting your we can say lungs, है ना. ये lungs में ज़्यादा effect आता है या आपके skins में आपका effect पड़ता है. You might be knowing about this when a very highly radioactive gas is being leaked, then it will be directly impacting your skin. एक ह्यूमन बीइंग के स्किन्स पे ये आपका इफेक्ट पड़ेगा. एर्गोनॉमिक इज बेसिकली वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट सम रिपीटेटिव वर्क और वर्क स्टेशन में, लाइक इफ यू आर सिटिंग इन राइट नाउ, it is always advisable that the back should be always be making an angle of 90 to 110 with the horizontal, right? It should be always be having this kind of inclination. 90 to 110 degrees should be the inclination. Okay, you might be seeing that some chairs, ergonomic chairs, is costing near amount 15 to 20,000. You might have seen this kind of price ranges, because that kind of chair is very safe for any person. Because if you're not having ergonomic correct chair, if you're sitting for a longer duration, you can have many problems. You can have the problem in the back, you can have the problem in your we can say in your neck also. ठीक है, neck में भी हो सकता है, colon cancer तक भी होता है. It is being proved that if you're not having an appropriate chair, you can have colon cancer also. You can have बैक में भी प्रॉब्लम हो सकता है, नेक में प्रॉब्लम होता है, शोल्डर्स में इफेक्ट होता है. सो वी कैन हैव different kind of problems. So if you're not sitting, like if you're having the laptop or desktop, it should well be, it always advisable that it should be having at the same level, right? It should not be at the top or it should not be at the bottom. Okay, that is also being seen there. Next is physical hazard. Physical hazard may just we can say due to some noise, due to some if you're doing some repetitive work. जैसे you might have seen that when a person is जैसे roads में ना अगर आपको drill करना होता है, there's a machine, they always wear headphones. It's not basically headphone, it is basically a safety equipment. Okay, they are wearing the gloves which is absorbing the vibration. So all this particular hazard we call it as is coming under the physical hazard. And the last one we call it as psychosocial hazard, which is basically your stress, violence, like office may if employee is being any mental related problem is happening, so that is coming under the psychosocial hazard. Ergonomic, one more time, ergonomic is basically if you are not having proper workstation matlab, let us suppose my studio is my workstation, so I should be having an appropriate height of the table, I should be having an appropriate distance from the screen, I should be having a proper ergonomic chair, right? If you're sitting for long hours, let's suppose you're sitting for continuous 8 hours or 10 hours, so definitely you should be having an ergonomic chair. Ergonomic chair matlab you should be having a proper inclination. You might have seen that some chairs are having inclination something like this. Let's suppose अगर ये आपका chair है, ठीक है, और if the chair is something like this, it is quite very uncomfortable. You cannot sit for prolonged duration. अगर आपके inclination ज़्यादा है, right? If a chair is having a large inclination, you cannot sit for a longer duration. Fine, you can have problems on the back also. So it always advisable you should be having the angle between 90 to 110 degree as appropriate angle. So where we are studying this is basically a potential damage to your organs, right? So that we call as the ergonomic. Hazard. Okay, let us suppose you are working in a production plant and you are having some repeated movement that you have to pick a body, you have to pick a object and you have to keep it. So if you are for the entire 8 hours of shift you are doing this, then definitely you will be having some problems with your some body part, right? अगर आप एक ही चीज बार-बार एक ही चीज करते रहेंगे for the 5 years if you are doing this particular work, so definitely you will be having some problems. So it is always be advisable if you are doing some repetitive works, you should be having frequent breaks in that. ठीक है, तो ये सब कहाँ से पता चला? This is basically we are getting from the knowledge of the ergonomic hazard. Is this clear? Fine. अब ये सब hazards को control करने के लिए there should be a governmental body, है ना? There should be a body. So we are having OHS, which you call it as Occupational Health and Safety. ठीक है, Occupation Health and Safety. This is basically covering the multiple field. That means safety, also health and welfare of the people at the workplace. ठीक है, और इसको कौन गवर्न करता है? It is being governed by two bodies, which is your WHO and ILO. ILO basically means you call it International Labour Organization. Okay, ILO represents international लेबर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, ठीक है, फाइन। अब ओएचएस में एक्चुअल में देयर वाज अ क्वेश्चन दैट यू कैन एक्सपेक्ट, हो सकता है दे कैन आस्क यू which of the industries is being covered under OHS. There is only 4 industries that is being covered. इसके अलावा if any industry is following OHS, it's well and good. They are not compelled to follow. So the industry that must be following the OHS, that is occupation health and safety. The first one is your manufacturing unit or manufacturing industry. ठीक है, we could have mining industry, we can have the ports, okay, and the fourth one is construction. So these are the 4 field where OHS is mandatory. If any firm it is lying in any one of the category, their OHS is mandatory. ये आपका mandatory होता है, आपको follow करना है. If you are not following this, then definitely the government will impose heavy sanctions. They could impose heavy penalties which that company has to pay. ठीक है, फाइन। इसके अलावा if there is any other industry, it is not a compulsory, it is not a mandatory. If that industry is opting for OHS, well and good. If not opting, that is also good. Okay, fine. But manufacturing industries, mining, ports and construction, these are the 4 sectors where OHS is mandatory to we can say follow, right? Now in India, if I say this OHS, we are having 2 major institutes. One is your Labor Institute, whose head office is set up in Mumbai and whose regional office is Calcutta, Kanpur and Chennai. And important hai, this Labor Institute is governed under the Ministry of Labor. It is body under other, it is being controlled under the Ministry of Labor. There are 2 institutes where we are having OHS, right? The second one is National we can say Institute of Occupational Health, which is having a central headquarter in Ahmedabad, regional office in Calcutta and Bangalore, and this is being governed by ICMR. You might be knowing about this ICMR. जब कोविड का वैक्सीनेशन जब कोविड का वैक्सीनेशन जो कोविड का वैक्सीनेशन बन रहा था, देन ICMR was playing a vital role. ठीक है, फाइन. I think Indian Council of Medical Research, if I remember the full form of this, ICMR, Indian Council of Medical Research, which is basically a governmental body, and that is being we can say governing this National Institute of Occupational and Health. Okay, is this clear? Understood? Fine. OHS institutes that ये आपको पता रहना चाहिए. Might be you can get some data-based questions. तो कौन-कौन से institutes OHS institutions हैं इंडिया में? We are having Labor Institute, we are having National Institute of Occupational Health, which is coming under which ministry? Ministry of Health, ICMR, Labor Institute, it is coming under the Ministry of Labor. That you should be knowing. Central region office is not mandatory याद करने के लिए, but अगर याद होता है ठीक है, well enough. If not, you should be knowing about this. Next you can have is the safety in construction and safety in your fire. Now what is fire safety? Fire is basically classified under 6 categories. We're having class A fire, B, C, D, E, F, and individual fires is having some specific symbols also and specific type. If the fire is basically due to wood, paper, fabric, plastic or kind of trash, that could be your dry leaves also, right? So that is the type of fire that we are getting. We call it as class A type of fire, right? Second is when you are getting the fire being generated due to some flammable liquids like gasoline, okay, or any oil. So this is basically we call it as class B type fire. Class C का मतलब where we are having burning due to the gases, just like we can say natural gas, right, which is basically due to some flammable gases की वजह से if you are having some fire being occurred, so that kind of fire we call it as class C fire. Class D आपका होता है due to some metals. ठीक है, there are some metals which are highly combustible like zirconium, titanium, manganese also, right? These are the different metals which are highly combustible in nature, and combustion means if it is have slight spark, it will be having quick flammable property. So class D fire is basically due to the metals. Class E is basically due to the electrical equipment. जैसे आपका short circuit होता है ना, when you are having a short circuit, so fire being generated, that is basically coming under the class F, class E type of fire. The last one is class F, that we are having under the cooking oil, जो आपके kitchens में या household में due to some regular oils, if we are having some fire, then we are having class F. So हर एक fire का, why we need to know which kind of fire we are having, which class of fire, because different fires, there are different extinguishers we have to use. Let us take an example. B, A, B, C, D, नहीं F ही होता है, A, B, C, D, E, F, है ना, 6 टाइप का होता है, राइट, है ना, there were 6 types. And there is one more important, why we need to study. Let us suppose we are having a class E fire. We are having a class E fire. हो सकता है C होगा करंट के लिए, but it's not appropriate. एक standard मैंने I have taken from ISO website, so this is a standard thing. ठीक है? Okay. If I talk about class E fire, can we use water as a extinguisher? Let us suppose if we're having a class E fire, can we use water to extinguish that fire? Yes or no? A big no. अब E किसके वजह से हो रहा है? इलेक्ट्रिकल इक्विपमेंट की वजह से. अब इलेक्ट्रिकल इक्विपमेंट में if you are using water as a extinguishing element, so it will not decrease, it will enhance. It will enhance the fire, right? It will be enhancing the potential hazard. Okay, so it's very important which class of fire and which extinguisher type you have to see. So let us see what kind of fire and what kind of extinguish that we have to use. Let us suppose I'm having class A type. Class A मतलब we are having the trash, the paper, plastic के वजह से जो fire होता है. There we can go for water, foam, dry powder and wet chemical. ठीक है? Fine. If I talk about flammable liquid, that is class B, we should not be using water. Instead, we used to use foam, dry powder, CO2. Right. You might have seen that near about to some petrol pump. Okay. There might be जैसे ना वो बाल्टी रेड कलर के buckets होते हैं. If you might have observed that there is red buckets, like specifically in your near transformers or some electrical big substation, we are having red color buckets, which is written as fire करके लिखा होता है ना. Inside this, what is that? That is nothing but we can say sand. वो sand भरा होता है. Okay, or we can say some dry powder. So that dry powder is basically used where we can use in flammable liquids also, we can use in flammable gases also, we can use in flammable metals also, we can use in electrical equipment also. You might have observed this, है ना. जैसे आपने देखा होगा रेड कलर का bucket, you might have seen something like this. इसमें it is written as fire, right? Near about to a petrol pump also it is available. Near about to some transformers or some substations, 4 to 5 buckets will be, and inside this bucket it will be basically a dry powder. Basically we call it as sand. ठीक है, वही आपका sand ही है जो we are talking about. Fine. Is this clear? If I talk about flammable gases, we are only using dry powder. Okay, we are only using dry powder because there is a reason for this. Because gases are highly combustible, or we can say it is having a very nature to expand its property. So it's very obvious that we should be using dry sand or dry powder in order to cut off the supply of oxygen. क्योंकि उससे क्या होगा, जैसे अगर आपका with the atmosphere आपका air का cut off हो जाएगा, then we won't be having oxygen for combustion, so definitely won't be having the propagation of gases or flame won't be there. ठीक है, इसलिए we are always preferring dry powder. This is the commonly used extinguisher type in almost every type of fire. ठीक है, except in the last one, that is cooking oil. उसके अलावा everywhere we are using this dry powder. Very very important. ये आपको बहुत important point है. ठीक है, fine. If I talk about electrical equipment, you might have observed that dry powder and CO2 both we are using in case of electric equipment, but normally we are using dry powder majority of the time. Majority of the time we are using dry powder to extinguish the electrical fire. The last one is cooking oil, which is basically very very rare. We are using wet chemicals. Okay, fine. We are using wet chemicals in if let us suppose if we are having some fire due to some olive, मतलब कोई भी cooking oil की वजह से, so it won't be having that kind of intensity, but yes, we should be able to extinguish by using some wet chemical. ठीक है, fine. So these are some types of fire and their extinguish type that should be knowing. And next very important, a question you can expect क्योंकि अभी तक पूछा नहीं है, the difference between excavation and trench. All civil engineers, now you can help me out in this. What is the difference between an excavation and a trench? Anyone? You might, if you're not a civil engineer, you might be knowing excavation is nothing but if I want to construct a building, it's not like this, and on the ground you'll be making a foundation. You try to dig it, है ना, उस digging of removal of that soil we call it as excavation. अब excavation आपने देखा होगा, we always follows 1:2 ratio. That means if the height is 5, we always have this as 10, right? Why this? Because let us suppose if you're having 5:5, ये भी 5 और ये भी 5 है. If you're working over here, if there is any problem of collapse of the sand, so definitely this person will be trapped inside the mud and it's very difficult. So we always prefer during excavation, the ratio should always be 1:2. That means this is 5, this is 10. Okay. हाँ, डेप्थ वर्सेस वेरिएशन एग्जैक्टली. अब ट्रेंच में क्या होता है, देयर आल्सो वी आर हैविंग 2:1 बट द डेप्थ इज मोर. सर अगर डेप्थ मोर है तो यहाँ पे कैसे हम लोग सेव करेंगे पर्सन को? देयर इज हाई पॉसिबिलिटी ऑफ दिस प्रॉब्लम, राइट? सो इसमें क्या होता है, वी आर ट्राइंग टू यूज दिस सपोर्ट्स. ठीक है, दिस इज बेसिकली द एग्जांपल ऑफ अ ट्रेंच. इसमें व्हाट वी आर डूइंग इज वी आर हैविंग दिस साइड प्लेट्स एंड इन बिटवीन वी आर हैविंग सम we can say support system which is trying to hold these plates, and normally trenching is being used whenever we are going for the pipeline construction or pipeline installing of the pipes. If you can see there is a pipe over here, है ना, ये आपका pipe है. So if you want to weld two different pipes, you have to work on the deep down. तो इस केस में अगर ये आपका trench है, so if it is having a height of 10, this should be having a height of 5 and we should be using something like this, ताकि अगर soil collapse भी होता है, right, it will be having the plates which will be supporting this. Okay, fine. Is this clear? Every civil engineers might be knowing about this, other students might not be knowing, but ये आप कुछ points हैं जो आपको पता रहना चाहिए, because it is a commonly used terminologies in the construction industries. Okay, fine. Is this clear? Now the next one is scaffolding. आपने देखा होगा whenever a person is working, okay, we used to have some platform being built. It's not like this a crane में person will be tied up and will be using a crane to do some activity. They are always using some platforms, and that platform we call it as this being basically made from using this scaffolding. ठीक है, scaffolding क्या होता है, आपने देखा होगा ब्लू कलर का प्लेटफॉर्म एंड इट इज बी कनेक्टेड लाइक दिस, है ना, ये आपका ऐसे कनेक्शन होगा एंड विल बी हैविंग अ प्लेटफॉर्म ओवर हियर एंड एवरीथिंग विल बी कनेक्टेड and will be having easy access. And always we try to use the PPE. What is PPE? Protection, we can say personal protection equipment. We call it as personal protection equipment being used, where we used to have helmets, we used to have the safety belt. ये आपका safety belt होता है. And always if there's a person who is working at some height, he is always being tied up with some with a rope. ठीक है, fine, which is fixed, right? अगर मान लीजिए if this is being crashed down, this person will be hanging on the support of this safety belt, or we can say we call it as lifeline belt. हाँ बिल्कुल सही है ना. आपने देखा होगा जहां पर भी कंस्ट्रक्शन होता है, they are using some multiple platforms. वो टेम्पररी होता है ना, and based on that you can increase or decrease according to the connection, and that we call it as scaffolding. और scaffolding में सबसे ज्यादा accident देखे जाते हैं. Why? Because if you are not using the appropriate protection gears or protection equipment, there's a high tendency of accident to happen. Okay, fine. Or there are multiple other safety concepts that you should be knowing. इसके अलावा one more is from the electrical safety. ठीक है, electrical safety में there are some materials that you should be knowing. ठीक है, उसके अलावा I think safety you will be having the complete cover. एक होता है safety in the cranes, जैसे cranes हो गया या फिर some moving vehicles. तो moving vehicles में what other safety points? First thing is the operator should be well trained. We can say untrained operators should be avoiding to use the cranes, because if untrained operator is using the crane, there is a high tendency for accidents to happen. ठीक है, तो इसलिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट बात है. जैसे हम लोग व्हीकल्स की बात करते हैं, राइट, वी कॉल इट मैकेनिकल व्हीकल्स और HEMV, heavy engineering mechanical vehicles, right? So we try to avoid any untrained operator, and every monthly the operator should be having some trainings being done in order to update with the crane, we can say, usage, right? Exactly. Okay, so these are some small points that you should be knowing, और अगर आप क्वेश्चन को पढ़ेंगे ना, you will be able to answer it very easily, right? So I think the time is up. It was allocated to take it till 8 o'clock, but I think आप लोग के साथ टाइम का पता ही नहीं चला, that we went till 8:30. Okay, so there are some additional topics apart from this that is completely theoretical. I've not taken up that because that will simply, if you try to read that, you'll be able to understand the safety perspective, right? So this is all about your design safety. Almost we have covered 70 to 80%. Excavation area should be covered exactly. The surrounding, you should be using some tapes. So we call it as safety tapes in order to avoid a person. If there is an excavation being done, let's suppose there's an excavation being done over here. Okay, so we always try to use the safety tapes. If you have visited any construction site, you might have observed. तो यहाँ पे safety tapes रखते हैं so that a person is, if a person is not knowing about this excavated area, he or she should be alerted by using this, by looking at this tapes. Okay, I'll be sharing this PDF on my Telegram channel, that is mechanical by Sooraj, right? I'll be sharing this in Learn with Sooraj. ठीक है, दोनों टेलीग्राम चैनल्स में I'll be sharing this just after this in 1 or 2 minutes, right? So try to download this. You'll be having a quick recap because projections का important है, Roulets important है, Conics important है. You can expect some statement based questions from that. Okay, so thank you guys for patiently listening to the session, and I hope you all enjoyed. So do not take tension. जितना पढ़ा है, try to just revise that. Do not go for any new topic. I won't recommend you, because if you are a serious aspirant, 19th is the date of examination. तो आज तो Valentine's Day था, तो बस 4 days is being left out. आज का दिन चला गया. Only 4 days left, so you should not be picking up any new topic, है ना? And try to make yourself motivated, and whatever you have studied, try to work on that. देखो 60% चाहिए, minimum 60% चाहिए. That is more than sufficient to get to the next level. So that is more than sufficient. Okay, so thank you guys for patiently listening. Thank you guys, thank you, and stay connected with BYJU'S Exam Prep. Thank you guys, bye bye, take care, stay safe, good night, bye bye.